Hello and welcome to the Graveyard Media Podcast. I'm your host, Saine Grey. Oh wait, I forgot the date and stuff. Episode 39. Wait, that's not right.
59, dude.
59.
Are you okay?
I'm a little tired, I guess. Episode 59 for the week of September 24th, 2018. I'm your host, Saine Grey. With me is Dalsson.
It's me. I'm surprised you introduced me first and not Thel.
And Thel.
Yeah, I'm here too.
Really?
Man.
Nothing witty?
I'm tired, I guess.
Now.
I don't know.
I'm a little tired too.
I think that might be the worst I've ever messed up the intro.
I never sleep.
Understandable.
All right. Well, why don't we go into games and movies then? Just knock it right off the bat, Thel.
Well, I ain't done very much this week, but I did play a heck of a lot of Hat in Time. And it's great. Remember how last year everyone was like really disappointed in Ukulele, and then they were like, "Hey, just play a Hat in Time again. It's like a better version of that." I think they were onto some shit. I never played Ukulele, so I can't talk about like how good that game was. But Hat in Time is fucking great.
I feel like they came out around the same time. It wasn't like, you should play this again. It was like, you should just play this instead.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, I have been hanging out and listening to Thel play a Hat in Time, and he'll do this thing where he makes comments about it, and I will hear things like, "Oh no! The Penguin Mafia is after me after I stole this clock from a bank. They're gonna take me to Penguin jail." And I'm like, what in the fuck are you talking about? So Thel, please, for the love of God, tell me what this game is about.
Okay, so there's no Penguin Mafia. There's a Penguin director, but he's not in the Mafia. So the thing is with the Mafia, you start out as a little girl in space trying to use pieces of like magical hourglasses that can turn back time as a fuel for your spaceship.
Okay, why did
So then the Mafia flies up to your spaceship in space, knocks on your door and tells you have to pay a fee, busts through your thing, and then all the timepieces, and also you go flying out and fly to the surface of the planet. You gotta find them all.
Okay, well that makes sense. So it's like Pikmin.
Kinda? I mean, you can go back up to your spaceship at any time. You just need to grab all the fuel.
Huh.
I don't know how you got Pikmin out of that.
Because he crashes on a planet and he has to find stuff.
I mean, that's just as much Pikmin as it is like Metroid. Like, I don't know why Pikmin is where he went with that.
Yeah, I still I don't understand all of the crazy nonsense that's going on that you talk about half of the time. Like what like sure that's the basis for the game, but why is everything so absolutely fucking insane?
Why not?
It all makes sense in context, more or less. So
what does a hat have to do with it?
Oh, the kid's name is Hat Kid because she wears hats, and the hats let her run and sometimes turn into ice and stop time and also show you your objectives.
Now, could she not just use the stop time hat as fuel for her spaceship?
No, because she needs that to stop time so that she can win a race with a guy, with a Mafia guy who's on like a rocket, like Wile E. Coyote.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense then. And
also to beat that timed puzzle that I completely forgot the time hat existed and got as far as I did on it by cheating at the game. Like glitching it out.
Good.
But yeah, the Hat in Time...
So it's just like Mario 64 then.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. The game is like, it's been compared to Banjo-Kazooie a lot. It's like much more Mario 64. There's a significant amount of Mario 64 in this game. And a little bit, what's really nice is something that I wasn't aware of is that there's a little bit of Psychonauts in this game too. There are these time rifts where you like go into a level and you have to go find this thing, and there are these special ones where a time rift bonks someone in the head, so you go through their memories and you pick up like this little photo album of like their memories. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah.
Psychonauts 2 never though.
This game, the best thing that I can say about this game is that it is incredibly fun as hell. To the point where there have been multiple times where Dalsson has been like, "Hey, you want to go play this?" I've been like,
Nah.
hat kid, I gotta beat this part in the hat level." It's crazy addicting. It's great. It's just about as fun as you could ever hope a game like this would be. So yeah.
So at its core, it's like a collect-a-thon platformer type game.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So I never played Mario 64, and I never had a Nintendo 64 at all, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I never played any of the like collect-a-thons that anybody thinks of. So like Banjo-Kazooie or Mario 64 or like any of I guess like the closest I played was like Crash Bandicoot and like Gex.
Spyro?
And Spyro, but yeah, I guess Spyro. So I've always been curious if I would like A Hat in Time, but I don't know.
Yeah. One of the things that definitely stands out about the game is like, I don't know if this was a complaint, but in games like that you see like this that have like a really sort of adorable art style and are going like 100% cutesy and are definitely going for the nostalgia thing. You go into these and expect like all of the writing and the jokes to be kind of not super good and like, oh, that's there. They said a funny thing. I'm acknowledging that. The fucking jokes in this game are hilarious. This game is fucking... The writing in this game is really great, and it was written by, like, the same guy who did the, It was written by the same guy who did, like, all of the game design and stuff. It's, like, one guy who did most of this game, and, yeah.
From the way you talk about it, it sounds to me like every single level was just put together by doing a Mad Lib.
Sort of? They all have all of the levels are very concise. They don't sort of flow into each other. Like, these are all completely different places that you're going to, and there's very little spillover. That's one of the, but they're all like really, really good and really, really fun. Like, all of the levels sometimes have a theme. Like, there's one level where you have to like do missions for these two specific people and gain like a certain amount of points with each of them. And the more points you gain, the more like the more they like push their side in like this competition, like the Oscars, that one of them is trying to win, and whoever wins is the boss that you have to fight at the end of the stage.
Oh, that's pretty
really
nifty,
fun.
Yeah.
And one of the levels in that specifically has like 5 different endings. There are some that are like these big wide open areas, and some that are like that one that are a bunch of like mini areas that you go into.
Huh. It sounds like it's pretty well designed. I remember it at the exact same time as Yooka-Laylee, and or like not exactly, but like pretty damn close to Yooka-Laylee, and everybody was like, "Oh, we're so excited for Yooka-Laylee. Yooka-Laylee's gonna be great." And then it wasn't, and then everybody was like, "Well, A Hat in Time is cool, I guess." And so like I always was under the impression that everybody only liked this game because they wanted something that was Yooka-Laylee, and Yooka-Laylee was bad. And so I just assumed everybody just jumped ship.
I don't think it was bad. I think it was just mediocre.
Right.
And I can completely understand, like, if Yooka-Laylee was at all mediocre, jumping to this game instead would absolutely be great, because I would say jump to this game if you played a video game. If you just finished your last playthrough of fucking good video game, well, that's okay, because you can play A Hat in Time. It's fucking great. You can play in Star Control 2, play A Hat in Time instead. I heard the new Star Control game was pretty good. You can play that, but you can also play A Hat in Time. It's fucking great. It's wonderful.
So basically, stellar recommendation from Thel.
Stellar recommendation. It's eaten up all of my time. Even like, of course, after I got to like the part in the game where it like sort of ends, I've gotten pretty much everything done except for the Death Wish mode stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's fucking great. My only complaint is that there are like 4 worlds. There's the Subcon Forest, Mafia Town, Deadbird Studio, and Alpine Skyline, and that's it. And I wish there was more.
The complaint is that there isn't more of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to keep playing it. Well, there's the DLC level, but that's like 1 mission.
Right. Okay. Well, sure. Oh,
yeah.
so that's interesting.
Hat in Time, great. Go and fucking play it. I love it.
Yeah, I didn't even finish the Mario on Switch, so I don't know how much I would actually care about this game, to be honest.
Right.
And I always have trouble with games like this because most people try to sell you on the game by saying it's like all of these games I didn't play. Yeah. So I always have a hard time like knowing if I would even like it.
Sold on it, yeah.
Again, I would really, a lot of people compared it to like Banjo-Kazooie. It's definitely like Mario 64 if all of the humor was Psychonauts.
But again, I've never even played Mario 64.
Have you played Psychonauts? It's a lot
Not a lot of it, and also
okay.
I haven't finished the new Mario game, which is supposed to be like the best new Mario game since Mario 64. So I don't know. I just think maybe it's not my type of game anyway.
All right.
Which I don't know. Maybe if it was on Humble Bundle or if it was on sale or something, I might pick it up. But I don't know.
Right.
Okay.
What made you pick it up?
I don't remember. Oh yeah, it was on sale and a little bit popular. I was like, well, you know, a lot of people have been playing A Hat in Time. Like, I can make like a video out of that. If it's like okay, then I can find some jokes. And I ended up playing it all week. And just going through all of it because
that makes sense.
I love it.
That's fair.
Yeah. All
right. There was a joke at the end. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. That it's like a tiny bit of spoilers, but it's like whatever. It's not like big spoilers. There's a point in time where you're like going to go to your home planet, and all of the friends you made along the way are trailing behind you in the spaceship. You go through all of them. They're all like, could you please take us with us? We really think that it'd be great if we could go with you. We made friends with you, and we want to come too. I think that your home planet would be fun. So you take a push broom and push them all off the side of your ship and send them out into the fucking vast emptiness of space. It's hilarious.
Eventually, all your friends stop thinking.
The end of the game is very sort of morally gray and that's like the joke, which is wonderful. Like the joke is you're kind of working with the bad guys. There's not actually we don't actually have any proof that this person is doing anything bad. And you're working with Satan and a very literal mafia boss and telling her to get fucked.
I see.
But yeah.
I like games where you're probably the bad guy.
You just showed up and fucked everything up for a little while and then just left without saying anything. It's great. I love this game.
Oh, that's just because the mafia put out a hit on you.
Yeah, basically, pretty much.
That's what happens when the mafia puts out a hit on you. You just fuck things up for a while. I've seen John Wick.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, Hat Kid game is great. Go play Hat Kid game.
Okay.
He's got Hat Kid. She can blow kisses at everyone. Which is
dedicated
the button for that.
Why don't I talk about Spider-Man a little bit?
Which also has a dedicated button to finger guns.
Yes. Did I tell you about that last week?
You did not, but I saw an image of it.
I feel like I did. I feel like I did tell you last week. You just didn't remember.
Maybe.
So Spider-Man, I finished it this week.
Oh, good.
Which is a feat for me because I don't finish maybe 20% of the video games I play.
You do finish 20%?
Bonafide game journalism.
Yeah, I don't. I do finish about 20% of the game. Well, I don't know. I feel like I get a good impression on most games, but I don't know. I'm not claiming to review stuff, so.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough.
A lot of the types of games...
Well, here's the thing. You got 20%, which is honestly probably better than a lot of game journalists.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know how much we count as journalists, but...
Yeah.
I have a journalism degree. Does that count?
That counts.
Sure, fuck it.
Probably more qualified than a lot of games journalists, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just showed up for work one day.
I didn't plagiarize the fuck out of anything.
They didn't even hire them. They just were like, okay, doors open. Everybody come in and get at your desk.
So anyway, Spider-Man. Spider-Man, man. Yeah, so again, my issue with this game was there was not more of it.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I don't want to say that it felt short because it's not really that per se.
Right.
It was a reasonable length. And I played it. I played it mostly in big chunks because it's easier for me to like section off time like that.
Right.
But I think my issue with it was more that the distribution of the story.
Right.
And I'm not gonna get into any spoilers here, but a majority of the game. So like they don't really have. I really wish that they had more supervillains come in kind of periodically throughout the story. Other than like Shocker, I think you fight all of the supervillains in the last like 10% of the game.
Weird.
Which it would have been nice if that was kind of something to look forward to throughout the game, rather than like, okay, shit's getting real, time to fight 5 supervillains in a row. You know what I mean? But I thought the way they led up to the final boss was really cool. Like throughout the game, they did a good job of hinting at the final boss and like giving you his origin, like this game's version of that character's origin. Because at the start of the game, the final boss is not a supervillain, which is kind of funny. But he's definitely a well-known Spider-Man character, so like if you knew anything about Spider-Man and played it for 10 minutes, you would probably realize who the final villain of the game is, but you know.
It was Spider-Man himself.
Oh man. Nega Spider-Man the whole time.
Nega Spider-Man. He had to deal with his inner demons.
You would almost think that, considering a Negative Man is like the villain that they show off a lot. But yeah, man, I really loved this game. I haven't 100%ed it, but I might actually. Like the collectibles are interesting enough that I actually want to go all over the place and check them out. Some of them are kind of pointless, but like one of the collectibles is pigeons. Like when you're swinging through the city, there will be a pigeon flying around, and it'll be like, oh, I need to capture that pigeon for this dude who collects pigeons, or who's like a pigeon keeper or something. So,
oh yeah, I remember that episode of Hey Arthur.
Yeah,
Hey
right?
Arnold. Fuck. Yeah. God damn it.
Hey Arthur. Yeah.
I remember that episode of Heroes where there was the same character.
No, so I remember. I actually thought about Hey Arnold when you first are introduced to that man. But yeah, like some of them are really pointless, but the ones that you would expect to be very pointless, like they have backpacks throughout the whole city. And like they're just things that you have to like kind of get to, and they're kind of in awkward places to get to.
Right.
But every time you get one of those, it gives you like a random piece of like Spider-Man history. And then the character talks about like whatever you found. So you'll find like a badge, like an Oscorp badge or something, during this very brief time at which Spider-Man worked at Oscorp. And it's like, oh yeah, I remember working at Oscorp. That was terrible. So it'll just be like little funny collectibles that he'll kind of talk to for a few seconds. Right. Which is really like one of the most interesting uses of go find random collectible in the world. It sure beats the hell out of Assassin's Creed flags.
Yeah. That sort of reminds me. There was something similar, and Spider-Man probably did this a lot better in Wolfenstein 2, where you collect like little pieces of lore. And I feel like that would be more interesting in Spider-Man, because you could just these are about Spider-Man comics. There's a lot of other Spider-Man stuff that it could be about, rather than just like General Angle's backstory that I don't really care about. She was a Nazi and a bitch.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of liked the collectibles in Wolfenstein also. My problem with them in Wolfenstein was it took you so out of the game, and it's like, okay, I have to sit here for like 5 minutes waiting for this audio log to play now. Yeah. Which Wolfenstein, I wanted to run around and shoot people, not sit here and like sit down and listen to this story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or even worse, like as cool as the alternate history versions of songs were, I don't know that I want to sit there and listen to it for 2.5 minutes or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But this was like, it would be 10 seconds of a random little piece of random crap you found. It was everything from, like, he found like little pieces of Shocker's original suit, and he was like, oh, this gave me the idea to add insulation to my suit. Like, he'll find a cracked lens of, like, Spider-Man lens. He's like, oh, I remember when I ate shit when I was fighting Vulture. That made me put better glass in my lenses. So stuff like that. And at one point they even, like, lampshade the fact that there's something like 60 backpacks in the throughout New York. And like, one of the awards was the Wilson Fisk Foundation for Science, like, thing. And so he, like, won this competition, and he's like, I knew Wilson Fisk was the kingpin, so I didn't want to take his money, but I definitely took advantage of that unlimited backpacks or something. so I don't know. It was just really funny. So yeah, like, I don't know. More than any other game, I'm really interested in going through and finding all the collectibles and unlocking all of the different suits. And there's one villain in it who is kind of a surprising villain to be in it. I'm not gonna say who it is, but it's, if you remember, Dalsson, it's Silas' like favorite supervillain,
the Joker.
If you don't remember who that is, then yeah, that's fine.
I don't actually remember who that is. Shit.
But anyway, so yeah, he's not like a big time Spider-Man villain, but
Zetsubo Sensei.
But he's definitely a Marvel villain.
Interesting.
So he was
He
was kind of a fun surprise to be in the game, and he kind of has his own collectibles where you do these, like, little challenges, and they could be a number of different things, and those
the Riddler.
After you do a certain number of them, he randomly just comes and fights you. And then when you beat him, he's like, I'll get you next time. By the way, there's these mercenaries who are attacking the shit. Go deal with that.
Whoa,
so it's
okay.
like, yeah, it's kind of funny because he's like giving you information, but also every now and then he comes and fights you.
Cop Man. The supervillain who was also a cop.
You know, there might actually, I'm not sure, there might be a villain who's a police officer.
I'm sure there is. Inferno Cop.
Inferno Cop. Okay, so yeah, Spider-Man's really fun. I don't know that I'll finish it soon, but it'll probably be a game that I come back to every now and then, just because it's so much fun to, like, swing around the city and do random shit.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Spider-Man.
Cool.
Do you want me to talk about the movie that I'd watched too, or do you have something?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead and talk. about the movie.
Oh god, shit. Go ahead.
Okay, I watched A House with a Clock in Its Walls.
Oh yeah, you told me about this.
What?
So how was it?
Is that what it's called? Is that the whole?
Yes, that's the whole title.
This is a movie starring Jack Black and some kid who I don't even remember his name.
A movie made around the same time as Harry Potter, trying to capitalize on that. Boy.
Okay.
The novel was written around the same time. It definitely is in the same kind of vein. So the basic plot of the movie is this kid's parents died, and he's like a really kind of weird kid. He like carries around dictionaries and, like, will quote random words that he probably shouldn't be using because. And not because he's using them wrong, but it's so out of place with the rest of his vocabulary that it's like, why are you going out of your way to say this weird word in the middle? I don't know.
No, dude, it's called salt. That's what I said. Sodium chloride. No, you said sodium chloride, idiot.
Yeah, exactly. It's stuff like that when it's like, okay, I get what I happen to know that word, so I understand what you said, but you probably didn't need to say it in that weird way, but
It actually just makes you sound stupider using big words.
I am a precocious child.
yeah, exactly, stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. That I don't know. Maybe being based off of like a young teen novel, maybe that was like in there to help kids learn stuff or something. But I don't know. Like,
Thanks.
I wasn't
YA.
super into it.
But they also have stuff like that in a series of unfortunate events, and it doesn't seem out of place because like for example, Klaus will say some big word and Violet will be like, wait, what? Explain that. And he'll be like, oh, okay, sorry. And then he explains it. And that like is clearly to teach vocabulary. Right?
Or better, where the adults say like a big word and explain it to the kids and they're like, yeah, we know what that means.
Yeah, we know what that means, idiot.
I don't know. They do similar stuff, but they don't. I don't know. Some of the words that he uses, it's like,
or just like out of
It
out of
seems
place.
It seems out of place, yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if that's a knock against the book or the movie's script. So it's,
right.
it is what it is.
I think I remember what villain you were talking about too, and that just makes me really excited for the game, which I will never play.
Maybe eventually, maybe someday. But yeah, it's probably like the most mediocre movie I've seen in a long time. I know that people gave a lot of shit to that puppet movie. I don't even remember its name anymore, but I actually liked that puppet movie more. So I don't know.
Wow.
Although I don't know, I enjoyed that movie more than I think most people did. But this movie was just kind of like, I guess I was in the middle of the plot on this movie. Yeah, so the kid moves in with his uncle, and then like finds out that he lives in a not a haunted house, but like a magical house where the furniture moves, like Pee-wee's Playhouse and shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and then his uncle is a warlock, and then they go into this thing for like 5 minutes about a warlock being a boy witch, and it's
warlock
like
is the secret word.
Yeah, it kind of. And then Jack Black's character is like, who's the uncle? I think a warlock is a bit more than a boy witch. And he's like, and then he like gives him the dictionary definition. It's like, come on, kid.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like, okay.
A boy witch.
But I don't know, like it was fine, I guess, but I would rather have an uneven movie where there were some high points, but overall the movie was kind of dumb, than like a movie that was just kind of very vanilla and tame and fine the whole time. So yeah, like I said, I liked that puppet movie more than most people did, but I recognize that it was bad, or at least recognize why a lot of people wouldn't like it. But this movie was just like, I don't think it was so inoffensive to everyone.
The Happy Time Murders is the
Happy Time Murders, yeah. This movie was so like, I don't know, vanilla that I don't think anybody like would have any issue with it. Yeah. It was like literally the kind of movie you take your kids to so they can watch a movie about kids doing magic or something, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Thing is, you're saying all of these things, and one of the things that I didn't know before you started talking about this movie was directed by Eli Roth, which makes this his best movie ever.
That's funny.
What else? Okay. What else did he make?
Cabin Fever, Hostel, both Hostel movies. He's probably most famous for being a character in Inglourious Bastards, and more recently, this year, he released the Death Wish movie that was apparently, quote-unquote, from every critic ever, offensively bad. I didn't see it. But yeah, if this movie was just mediocre, he did it. Eli Roth is making fucking waves.
He's making progress.
Also, Green Inferno, which...
I'd like to point out that somebody in chat here has read the book. They say that... two of his kids hated the narrative of the movie, but everybody loved the book, so it seems like it was just a problem with the movie from the sounds of it, at least from one viewer opinion.
I could really see that happening. Like, I could totally see them just doing kind of a poor job at translating it to film, because I think the basic outline of the plot was fine. It just wasn't very impactful.
Right.
It was like everything that would have made a good movie was there. It was just not executed well enough to me. And I think it almost might have been like editing more than like
editing plays a big part.
Like, because I don't know. And even like the one thing I kind of did like was in the beginning, before the kid realized that the house was magic and shit, it almost played out like a horror movie.
Oh boy.
Because he was like, his crazy uncle was wandering around in the middle of the night, and he was like, what the hell is going on? What? And then shit was moving on its own, and he was like so confused. But
so what is it? I have a question that's sort of an aside. What is it with young adult novels and getting whisked away by your magical crazy uncle?
Harry Potter made a fucktillion dollars, and the since Amazon came out, the publishing
Harry Potter did not have any crazy uncle.
It had Hagrid.
Close enough.
And also Narnia. It's
also Cyrus
like,
Black, wasn't he the technical...
Oh yeah,
he was a godfather.
Godfather, which is like an uncle light.
Yeah. Yeah, miscellaneous weird family members have always been a thing in like that sort of genre, and since Harry Potter came out, there's just been this fucking explosion of them as the publishing industry struggles to stay alive.
Right, understandable. I guess I was specifically thinking of a series of books that I read called Pendragon. I loved that series, and I'm pretty sure I read it before Harry Potter. I don't know if it came out before or after.
Didn't they make a Pendragon movie, but it was bad?
Oh yeah, it was horrendous. I could tell from the trailers. But yeah, in this book, he was whisked away by his crazy uncle from like his birthday party or something. He's like, "Come here, kid. We're gonna go down to the subways." And he's like, "What are we gonna do, Uncle Press? What are we gonna do in the subways?" And he's like, "Okay, so the first thing you need to know about the subways is don't step on the tracks because you'll get electrocuted. And now we're going to magic space." And that was fun, but
I don't know. Someone in chat disagrees with you and said they loved Pendragon, so I don't know.
The movie? I loved the books. They were like some of my favorite books of all time.
I don't know. They didn't specify.
Yeah, they're probably talking about the books in that case. Because I've never even heard of the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, he said the books. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Like, this movie, I really... And I don't feel like... I feel like it wasn't Jack Black's fault either.
Oh, no. Certainly. There are a lot of things that I'm sure are wrong with this movie. Yeah.
Because he played, like, kind of a doofy character and whatever, and, you know... He was written in a kind of odd way, but I don't know how much of that was how he was actually supposed to be or whatever. But I just, I don't know, like, he did a fine job. It wasn't, like, his best acting or anything, but under the circumstances...
Now, was he playing a comedy role, or was this all supposed to be serious? Jack Black is good in serious roles, don't get me wrong, but usually they'll cast him as...
I think that it was, like, a light comedy. Like, it wasn't that it wasn't serious, but because they had serious things that they had to do, but he was kind of playing a generally doofy character, and I think he was supposed to be that way, so I think it was probably fine.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I liked him better in like Goosebumps even.
Yeah, didn't he play R.L. Stine?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like it was a very similar performance to Goosebumps, but I thought Goosebumps was overall better, like a better movie in general, which is funny because I don't think that movie was that great either. So
yeah, well, you know,
and that's one of the things. Like it's the same thing like with every movie that The Rock is in. It's like you can't blame him for the movie being bad. It's just the script sucked.
Yeah. Exactly.
He did fine. He did as much as he could do.
And then there was Jumanji, which had The Rock and Jack Black, and it was a phenomenal movie.
You just need to team up The Rock and Jack Black more.
Yeah.
The Rock is like a taller, buffer Kyle Gass, so it'll be just like Tenacious D, except without Kyle Gass in it.
What's funny about that Jumanji movie is, like, it reminds you that Jack Black is a good actor. He's just in a lot of bad films. And the same with The Rock. It's like, okay, Jack Black's actually really funny. It's just sometimes people don't write for him that well.
Yeah, they don't give him the good stuff, yeah. Like, Tenacious D is one of my favorite fucking movies ever. And I'm pretty sure Jack Black basically wrote it.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a funny guy.
So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Like, it's #1 in the box office this week.
Yeah.
But it's up against a lot of really bad movies, so I'm not too surprised.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Bad movies and movies that like came out.
I wanted to see Predator, but I got outvoted.
Aw. I'd go see Predator with you, Saine. Maybe. If I saw movies.
I heard the plot was silly enough that I might just too.
In Predator?
I have heard some crazy shit about the plot in this movie.
I've heard very mixed things about that movie. I thought it was going to be good. And then, like, when actual critics saw it, or like when it was like fully open to the public to review it, suddenly its Rotten Tomatoes score like dropped like 60 points or something crazy.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Not I don't know. That was an overstatement, but yeah,
it dropped a lot.
But like, it dropped down basically. It might have dropped 60 points.
Well, it went from being pretty positive to being pretty negative. So
yeah,
like, I think it's at 40-ish% now, which is not the worst movie.
34%.
Okay, well, yeah. So I don't know. That's all I have to say about House with the Clock on Its Walls.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to talk briefly, because we are a good month or so into the league, about Path of Exile Delve and how I feel about it, like, looking back. Now, I said this when the league kind of first started, but I do think that this is probably the single hands down best league mechanic they have ever created. This is just incredible. So essentially, to describe it very briefly, you go around your maps and your leveling process and whatnot, and you collect a resource that just pops up in random called Voltaxic Sulfite, and you use that Voltaxic Sulfite to power your like train engine that you have to escort through the delve. It's less, you're not escorting it, it's escorting you. Like, if you stop and run away from it and start to die, it'll just stop and wait for you to catch up. So it's escorting you. So that right away abolishes the shitty escort mechanic that everybody was worried about initially. And you use it to power that to try and push your way deeper and deeper into the Azurite mines, which just are basically loot pinatas.
Yay.
Yeah, who doesn't love loot pinatas? Now I've come up with a great build that I'm not really going to talk on. I think that my build is pretty decent for the way that Delve is set up. So I am actually able to push my Delve cart really deep, as pretty much as every time I can. I can just push deeper and deeper. But what I wanted to talk about mostly was that Grinding Gear Games is just such a great company with like their PR and stuff. So like, I don't know, maybe 2 days into the league, everybody was finding all of these horrible bugs and just general shitty balance things, which, you know, Grinding Gear Games is a team of like 14 people. You know, they can't test for, that's not a good enough sample size to test for the millions of people who are going to be playing it when they put their stuff out. So within 2 days, they were like, okay, here are a bunch of, don't tell EA about loot pinatas. Yeah. How would they make any money if EA put loot pinatas in their games? And essentially, within 2 days, a slew of bugs were fixed. And then, like, people stopped bitching about all the bugs. And then, I mean, there were still some bugs, but they were, you know, less frequent and less common, and they did a little bit of rebalancing. And then within another, I don't know, 5 or 6 days, they were like, okay, we hear everybody's feedback about how bad the sulfite collection is. Everybody's just running this one particular area that isn't even a map, resetting it, collecting Sulfite in 20 minutes and going into Delve. We want people to engage with all of the in-game content, not just strictly go for Delve. If we wanted that, we would just make an endless Delve league where you didn't need Sulfite. So they didn't nerf the gains on that one particular area. What they did instead was they buffed up the amount of Sulfite that you get from higher tier content. So your Magic Find also gives you more Sulfite, but they also increase the amount of Sulfite that it costs to push deeper and deeper into your mines. So it was a really good compromise, and people still bitched about it. And the reason for that was because they made the Sulfite gains multiplicative instead of additive. And so, again, I think this was hotfixed within like 10 hours. People were complaining about how you basically had to be running top tier high-end content in order to push Delve to like even close to that level of content. And so they were like, okay, we're reducing the Delve costs, we're capping it at a certain amount, and we will be making the content additive. So your Magic Find just kind of adds stuff. Before it was like, if you were running tier 15 maps, you would be getting like 2,000 Sulfite every node. And if you were running tier 16, you would be getting like 15,000 Sulfite every node. So now they've dialed it back, and I feel like they're at a really happy medium, because I played through all of these changes. I've been playing Path of Exile like nonstop, and the one time that I've ever agreed with stupid fucking r/Path of Exile's complaints was when the Sulfite was just so, you basically didn't get any. Now I feel like they're at a happy medium where you're sitting there like doing maps for an hour or so, and you're like, okay, cool. I filled up on my Sulfite. I'm going to go do Delve for a little while, and you get to Delve for like 20 or 30 minutes, and then you're like, oh, I'm out of Sulfite, back to the regular game. And I think that's how a league mechanic really should work. Like, it shouldn't be the main focus of the game. The whole game that they've already built should be the main focus of the game, but the league mechanic is kind of there to break up the monotony.
Okay.
So yeah, Path of Exile Delve, probably my favorite league that they've ever made, and I said that about Incursion during the last league, so I'm really excited to see what they'll come up with next. They just seem to be getting better and better.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Sorry if my eyes glaze over a little bit when you're talking about Path of Exile.
Understandable. I could talk about Warframe if you want. Make you a little, give you a little nap there.
I don't know. Do you have anything to talk about on Warframe?
I actually don't. All I know is that
good.
I believe a release date for the new expansion was confirmed to be towards the end of November. So look forward to me talking about a lot then.
Okay.
I want to talk about something that everyone else doesn't care about a little bit. X4 is apparently going to release this year, and I didn't know that. They have a release date set for 2018. Cutting it close there, Ego Soft, you motherfuckers. I'm watching you, you bastards. I hope this one's good. I'm looking forward to it. Anyway.
All right.
Okay.
What do we want to talk about next? Do you have anything?
Dude, I ain't got shit.
How about you, Dalsson?
I haven't watched. I watched Arrival, or not Arrival. I watched Annihilation again. I talked about
still
that.
Good.
Still good.
So okay. There are two things that I could briefly talk about to fill a little bit of time. Don't tell anybody that's the reason. Thel and I completely finished The Office. Finally, the American Office.
Yeah.
And let me say, just like right out the gate, that the finale of The Office was so perfect. It left you wondering what more there could be, but it didn't leave you wanting there to be more of the show, right?
Yeah.
It was, there was a wedding, and a bunch of old characters came back. It kind of showed them like where they were a year after. The premise of The Office is that there's a group filming a documentary. The documentary wrapped up and finished, and it kind of showed. The idea was that it was the bonus features on the DVD version. They kind of went back and talked to all of the characters a year later or so.
Yeah.
And that was just like a really just stupendous wrap up to these characters that you had, if you had watched it when it was airing, actually been with for 9 years. For us, it was like a month, but still.
Thel, have you seen The British Office?
I have
we
not
have
seen the
not.
British Office.
Oh, neither of you have seen the. That's funny because
No.
I've only seen the British Office.
Really?
I've never seen the English Office, but I've seen the British Office, so I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know how the British Office could possibly top the.
Oh, dude, it has Ricky Gervais in it.
I mean, yeah.
So
but...
it could. I don't know.
I mean, it's got
probably
Bilbo playing Jim, but
there's only like one season of it though. So.
Ricky Gervais did cameo as a character in this Office. He was interviewing for the regional manager.
He cameoed as his character from the original Office.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I don't know how long the British. I think it's a lot shorter for the British one.
Significantly, probably.
It's 2 seasons, so
yeah, and this is 9 seasons, so
yeah.
Are you? You should watch Parks and Rec next, or you should watch the British Office, maybe.
Yeah, I'll give the British Office a shot. I kind of like.
It's British humor, so if you don't like British humor, then...
yeah, I mean it's really dry. I adore British humor, but like.
Then you'll like the Office, the British Office, then, I think, because it's like probably the best version. Like it's the best. It's probably the best version of like British humor that I've ever seen. It's like really well packaged.
Right.
I actually really like the British Office, so.
Right. There is one thing that I can say, though. Finally, after 25 years of my life, I will no longer confuse The Office and Office Space.
Oh, good.
I had done that up until the moment that I watched The Office, even though I have seen Office Space.
That's funny.
Well, all right. But yeah,
you should watch Parks and Rec because it's kind of a similar idea to The Office.
It was the same creator, same guy did it.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that, but
that was what he started doing after The Office. Well, not after. It started while The Office was still going, and then continued.
Right. Well, that's actually really exciting. I didn't know it was the same creator.
What I've seen of the American Office, which is not a ton, I think that I would like Parks and Rec better, just because I think the characters are more interesting in Parks and Rec.
Right.
Weird. Not that they're not weird in The Office, but I'm not really that big a fan of Steve Carell either. As part of it, so
he gets written out of the show halfway through.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. Well, not halfway through, but like, there's a good 3-4 seasons with him not in it, and honestly, the show takes a huge drop off in quality when he leaves. And it sucks. It's still good. Don't get me wrong.
Well, he was the executive producer still, though.
Yeah. He was giving it money, but it just wasn't the same without him.
He was probably just like, I don't want to be here for 9 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, he was in Foxcatcher. He's got a career as a actor now, and Jim Halpert directed one of the best horror movies this year.
I thought he was already not famous, but he was already pretty well known.
Oh yeah, he was absolutely already pretty well known. But now he's got
one of you guys may or may not yell at me for this, but the only other movie I can possibly think of him being in is Bruce Almighty. And Evan Almighty, I guess.
Oh yeah. He was in some other stuff, but around that time he was already comedy actor, man.
Yeah, he was in a bunch of. Wasn't he in Wasn't he? He was in The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's probably his most notable role. Probably.
Yeah. Well, before The Office, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, he was around. I just can't think. Yeah, he was the guy who went
and he was Evan in Evan Almighty.
He did that in one. That's the same character. He did that in one episode of The Office. Like he was just making weird, funny noises with his mouth at one point, and I was like, "Oh my god, wait a second! He's the guy who was the asshole news reporter in Bruce Almighty?" And that was like, yes, did you not know this past 4 seasons?
this man has been here the whole time. It's Steve Carell. You know him.
He was also in Despicable Me as Gru.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
He was in a
which is actually
remake of
really good.
Oh yeah. He was in a remake of Get Smart.
Oh yeah, I actually really liked that movie.
I saw that movie some time ago.
I liked it at the time.
Or is that some guy that looks like him?
No, Liar is the other guy in Bruce Almighty, Jim.
Jim
Jim
Carrey.
Carrey.
Right,
Jim Carrey.
right. Okay, see, that's where I'm getting it mixed up. I have these weird ways of mixing things up, right? So, like...
They don't even look similar. They're not completely different people.
Right, but I have these weird things that go on in my head that make me mix things up. Like, for example, in Toy Story, I constantly, just for a moment, think that Woody is voice acted by Tim Allen. And it's because his name is Woody, and I think of Woody Allen, and then I'm like, no, that would be stupid. The actor can't be Woody Allen. The character's name is Woody, so it must be Tim Allen. And I'm like, it's not Tim Allen.
But also, we've had this conversation before. The reason you probably think that is because Tim Allen voices Buzz Lightyear.
That's right! We have had this conversation before.
Yeah, I don't know. You have like cross wires where
I do.
If two people are in the same thing then forward, they're just going to be mixed up back.
They're
and forth
together
in all
forever.
of their roles.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's been kind of a bad year for movies, I think, overall.
It's been okay. It's been a good year for horror movies, specifically.
As far as everything yes and no.
Really?
Because there have been some pretty bad ones too.
Oh yeah, definitely. You got like The Nun and Annabelle Creation and stuff. But then we got like Quiet Place, Hereditary, Mandy.
Quiet Place wasn't Quiet Place last year?
No, Quiet Place was this year. It was a little early this year.
Was it like January? It was probably January.
It was like February or March. It was early, yeah.
All right.
Right. Another quick note is Thel finally made me start watching Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. We got to like
episodes.
We're like seven or so episodes in, and that's one of the particular things I wanted to point out. So it's 2018. There have been 2 Fullmetal Alchemists, so I feel like, and especially since this happened so early on in the series, which I did not know.
Oh, and also,
I feel like this isn't huge spoilers, but me bringing it up is gonna make everybody, oh, you asshole! I can't believe you.
Oh yeah, I know, yeah.
The stupid thing with the girl that gets combined with the dog for fucking 15 years. I have been like seeing pictures of it and like the scene where she's like Edward.
Okay, but hold on a sec. Brotherhood actually has a much toned down version of it. It's actually a lot more impactful in the other one because that girl is around for much longer in the original series.
See, that was what I was going to say. In Brotherhood, she was literally introduced 10 minutes before that happened to her. And I'm like, who is this girl? I don't even care. She played with Edward for 10 minutes.
When they made Brotherhood, they cut down a lot of the shit that was in the first series, so you didn't have to watch it all over again.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
But in the original set, like, she's around for a while. And actually makes a really close relationship with Al. Or no, not Al, Ed.
Ed.
Yeah.
And then when that happens, like, Ed is fucking destroyed. Because you had watched them get super close for several episodes leading up to it, and then it's just like the whole thing is...
Yeah, and he didn't even seem that devastated in Brotherhood, like...
It
definitely messed him up a lot, but it also felt like, oh, I've been playing with this little girl all day, and then it felt like he was like, how could you possibly do this to a little girl, not like somebody that I'm close with, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That is just an
adaptation.
Yeah. That's just a thing that they changed a little bit. They kind of ran through a lot of the same ground that the original one covered quickly, so that they didn't bore
They didn't want to have everybody calling them an asshole for reminding them that thing happened.
It almost feels like... I mean, you couldn't do this because things changed too much even early on, but it almost feels like for the first, like, almost season... it'd almost be worth watching the first season of the original Fullmetal Alchemist and then watching Brotherhood. And
then switching Brotherhood to keep up with the manga.
Because I think the original adaptation of a lot of that beginning stuff was better, but I understand why they changed it in Brotherhood, because it was like there's no reason to spend all of this time and all of these characters again when everybody already saw that anime, and then like this is the point at which it diverges. When a central go ahead.
Go on.
I was just gonna say, when a central character dies, that's where it sort of splits off quite considerably, and then
there's like specifically one character who like has like a backstory, which was like, I'm pretty sure like an entire chapter of a manga and a whole episode of the original series, that they like go over his backstory. Like they talk about him once, and it's like, oh yeah, this guy was taken down by the Elric brothers a couple days ago, and he like shows up later, it's like, you remember me back when you guys did this thing? No.
Yeah, but see, like, I don't know, like, how long did Brotherhood come out after the original run of Fullmetal Alchemist?
3 or 4 years, at
least.
3 or 4 years, yeah. So, like, I don't know if it would have been that, like...
It would have, because it was a pretty significant chunk of the original Fullmetal Alchemist run was all of that stuff. Like, they condensed, like, half of the original series into, like, 10 episodes or something. So...
It seems weird because other anime have been able to pull that off, right? Like, specifically JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
But here's the thing.
OVA of Stardust Crusaders, it was bad, and then when they came out with the Stardust Crusaders season of the new run, it was good. Because
here's the thing, though,
the OVA came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. There wasn't that big a gap between the two, really, and Brotherhood doesn't really lose anything by doing it. And like, in a weird way, both of the animes hold up differently. Yeah. Like, I don't even think the original Fullmetal Alchemist run is bad. It's just it sort of makes weird choices at the end, but it's like it diverges from the manga a lot. But it diverges from the manga a lot, but I think that it still wraps things up pretty well.
Right.
Like, you just can't compare it to the manga because it's not that similar past a certain point.
Right. It makes sense.
Whereas Brotherhood, like, a lot of things are different in Brotherhood. Like, the way that mechanically things work is different in Brotherhood. Like, I think in Brotherhood, there has to be 7 deadly sins at all times, and if one dies, they get replaced. That's not even close. Like, half of the series in the original series is about killing the homunculi. So... Actually, I think that's what the series is ultimately about, is killing all the homunculi. So,
it's like, I guess it's just weird to me as essentially a first time. And one of the things I was noticing, because I did the thing where I, was a kid, so I caught some of, like, bits and pieces of the original run of Fullmetal Alchemist on Adult Swim or Toonami, whichever it was on.
I watched all of them on Toonami, but
yeah, so like I caught bits and pieces of it, and I caught a lot of the early parts of it. So I was like, wait a second, hold on, aren't they gonna go into that? When I was watching Brotherhood, I was like, specifically like the thing with their mom, they just showed the whole thing in episode 2, and I was like, wait a second, I remember in the original run they stretched out like 2-second clips of that scene over the entire course of years. Like,
yeah, they don't actually, I think in the original series it was so traumatic for them that they don't really go into it until like way later in the series. They actually show the whole thing complete, like how it happened. But like again, that was another just complication of Brotherhood wasn't really about that. And also, just generally, Brotherhood is a lot lighter in tone than the original series, so it's like, it doesn't need to dramatize that too much, because it's something that happened, but really, Brotherhood doesn't... Don't get me wrong, messed up stuff happens in Brotherhood, but it's like, it's not about it being dark the same way as it was in the original set, so...
Right, exactly. Brotherhood for me also was the very first time that I have ever recognized a Japanese voice actor, and I was like, oh yeah, that was the same voice actor as blah, 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 blah,
blah. Which one? Was it Edward?
It's Ed, yeah.
Because he's in fucking everything, so I'm surprised it took you this long.
Everything.
I'm surprised it took you this long to recognize
I actually recognized him as a child in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Well, he's like an adult child. He's the same age as the other people who are giant. He's just tiny.
I think that this role really sent his career into overdrive.
Oh yeah,
because he was in a lot of stuff, and actually, oh, you're watching the Japanese version though, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking of the English voice. I actually watched Brotherhood in Japanese. But I was mainly talking about the English voice actor from the first series.
Who is the English voice actor?
I don't know, but he's a really popular one. I think I want to say I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong one.
Hang on, we'll just look it up real quick. This will be easy. Why do fucking Vince McMahon.
Vic Mignogna.
Right. Okay.
Let's see what else he's in.
Yeah, he's done a lot of he's done a lot of other dubbed anime.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find something else that he would be like well known for. But I'm having trouble looking at this. He's in a lot of stuff, but he's not. I'm having trouble finding him as main character. So.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting, huh?
Oh, yeah, Orochimaru. That's probably notable enough.
That's probably pretty notable. Yeah.
Lots of Digimon.
Yeah, you know what's funny? That's actually really funny because the Japanese voice actor got his start got his start in Digimon.
Well, that's not too surprising because Digimon was way more popular there than it was here.
Yeah, for sure. But it's funny. I bet they probably play the same character. That would make sense.
Yeah.
It's Ken, right?
Who? What?
Ken from Digimon.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, well, whatever.
Not this guy. I don't know. No. Well, I don't know. Maybe. I'm like really still scrolling through his stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't really matter though. We're like on such a fucking tangent now.
That's fine. We watch so little that it's fine to fill a little bit of time.
My point was that when I started this, my point was that particular thing that everybody was like, oh my god, this is the most traumatic thing I've ever experienced in an anime, was like glanced over in Brotherhood, and I was like, okay, well, sure.
Yeah.
But
I think that was partly because they already ran over that, and secondly because the tone is so much lighter that it's like,
right,
it's a fucked up thing that happens, but it isn't given the same emotional weight because they don't, like, it's not worth that.
Yeah, they don't dwell on it. It's like, Jesus Christ, that's fucked up, and that's it.
I don't know. After you finish Brotherhood, maybe go back and watch the original series just for fun.
Right.
Maybe.
So I was under the impression though that maybe it didn't have the same emotional impact on me as it did on other people, just because
that's also
I had already been spoiled on it. You know, like I already knew. Like I saw that little girl and I was like, oh, she's gonna turn into a dog.
Yeah, the image
from
of
the
that little
moment
girl
I
was
saw
burned
her
into your brain.
Yeah, from the moment I saw her face, I knew what was gonna happen. So,
I think that it's still, I don't know, if you watch the original series, it still might hit you a little bit harder than it did because that character is developed as a character more in the original,
as opposed to just chasing it around with her dog.
Just sort of a child in Brotherhood.
Because I actually remember watching that in Brotherhood and going, "Wow, that was fast."
Yeah.
So
see, that is exactly what I said, wasn't it, Thel?
Yeah,
I was like, "Wow, this early."
Yeah.
So yeah, like it. I don't know. It's just so stark in comparison. I think even that character's funeral, where that one character dies, that diverts the plot. Even that was so much more heavy in the original series. This is
I don't know.
Funny.
I don't know what
that funeral. Like the specific scene you're talking about goes by like, it's like the end of an episode.
I don't know what character you're talking about, so don't tell me. But do tell. It's the scene where somebody's talking to somebody who I don't actually recognize yet because I haven't gotten to know all of them, and they're like, why are you crying? And he's like, no, I'm not crying. It's just raining. And then looks up and the sun's out.
Yeah.
Actually,
that was a scene from the original one.
Right.
Yeah. Oh no, that one's in Brotherhood too.
Oh,
yeah,
well, I think they just copy it because I think that was a very famous part in the manga.
That's a super.
Yeah. That whole like that character's whole death in this is kind of weird because his whole thing, like all of the stuff that he was doing, is gone through in one episode, and then like the last two episodes of the last like couple of episodes of the season are like completely aside from that, with Ed and Al doing stuff, and the tone just, it's like a complete tonal shift that just doesn't happen for the rest of the season. It's almost really weird. It's like, yeah, they were trying to go through that. In the original series, these was probably interspliced with each other.
It's like, yeah, in Brotherhood, it's like, well, this is such an impactful thing, we can't just leave it out. So we have to talk about it. But
this is specifically the thing that drives the character in the rest of the series. We gotta have it.
Yeah.
And this person figures out everything.
Really,
this man found the script to the plot. This man found the script to the plot on the ground.
Okay. When you started saying that, I thought you said the script to the full, and I thought you were going to say the script for the Lord of the Flies.
The script for the movie The Lord of the Flies. And I was like,
what? What does that have to do with?
You need to just repress that movie, man. Or book.
I need to.
Yeah, book.
I hate Lord of the Flies so much.
You just need to not ever think about it again. That's my recommendation.
I should just block it out in my mind. I should just replace every instance of Lord of the Flies with How to Kill a Mockingbird.
All right.
So why don't we take a break?
Okay. That sounds like a good idea.
And then when we come back, we'll wrap up the news. There's actually a fair bit, especially since we skipped last week for news.
Yeah, most of it anyway.
So why don't we come back at 5:20? Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
All right. We will see you guys in a little bit. Okay, we're back. So for the second half of the show, we're going to talk about some game and movie news. I don't know where we want to start this week. What do we got?
I got a piece of fucking news for you guys.
Let's just start with movie news, since Thel has a piece of fucking news for us.
All right.
People are finally waking up to the truth. If you put the princess hat on one of the fucking squid enemies from Mario, you get a squid kid. You get Pearl from Splatoon. Now you know. Anyway.
So, I don't know. We skipped a ton of stuff. We didn't do anything last week.
We didn't do any movie news last week, so I'm gonna go through all of the stuff that we have this week and last week. And there wasn't very much with either this week or last week, but combined, they make enough.
So we're gonna start with IMAX.
IMAX is in active discussions with Netflix and Amazon. They're probably going to start putting Netflix and Amazon produced movies into their theaters. Excuse me, which might make Kane slightly less mad at them.
I thought that the Supreme Court banned Netflix from movie theaters.
No, that was the Supreme Court of Canes.
Oh, okay.
Which is much, much angrier.
The angrier Supreme Court.
The angrier movie Supreme Court.
No, I think they want theaters to do the opposite. Like Canes and stuff wants Netflix to do the opposite. They want them to display in more movie theaters. But
But Netflix won't.
Yeah.
But Netflix is like, we don't need to.
Yeah, we release it on our platform, and we're really honestly, we're making more money by releasing them on our platform rather than in theaters. And Canes doesn't like that. They want them to release in like theaters, specifically in France.
Yeah, but apparently IMAX went to Netflix and like, you wanna?
Mm-hmm. Hey man, we got these big ass screens.
I think that. So here's my deal. I don't mind the idea of it coming out on IMAX or something. I don't watch movies in IMAX anyway, but I don't mind the idea of it coming out in theaters. I just don't want to have that buffer time where I have to wait for it to come out of theaters and then go to the movie or like streaming service or whatever. I want to just be able to choose. You know what I mean? Yeah. If I'm like really excited for a thing, then maybe I'll see it in the theater, but I don't want to have to wait if that's not what I like. I wouldn't watch the Cloverfield movie on an IMAX, you know?
Yeah.
But I might watch it on Netflix. Yeah. I haven't, but, I might.
Yeah. There's the possibility that you could go, I'm going to fucking just watch this today. Screw it. Yeah. The next one is a really fun piece of news. More trouble in DC Town as Henry Cavill fucking leaves and is no longer playing Superman. He's done.
Good.
This is coming off of Ben Affleck also having left as Batman. So
So does this mean that cinematic universe is dead now, like for good? Is it like actually dead now? Because they still have the Aquaman movie, but other than that, that's it, right?
They still have the Aquaman movie. They still are in active production with at least one of the 2 Joker movies. The one that the guy left, they are in active production for.
But at least one of those 2 Joker movies wasn't even supposed to be part of the cinematic universe. So like,
and the one that was
the other one part of it?
The other one I think is part of it, and the one that isn't, I think, is the one in production.
Because there's one with Jared Leto.
Yeah,
who's connected to Suicide Squad, which is connected to the universe. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It had Batman in it.
Okay, right. So then one of the Joker's movies is that Jared Leto one.
Yeah.
Right.
But that one's not even in production?
I haven't heard anything about that. I've been hearing mostly stuff about the other Joker movie. That's apparently maybe coming out first. I don't know.
So where we're at with it is Aquaman, maybe Joker, and that's it.
Oh, Wonder Woman 2.
Oh, and Wonder Woman 2. That's right.
Yeah.
Which almost feels like a shame.
Yeah.
Because, again, I remember talking about this before Wonder Woman came out, but we're at the point where Wonder Woman's going to be the only good movie in the series.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Rest in peace, DC. At least Wonder Woman got a good movie.
Whereas with Marvel, you at least have to admit all of their movies were okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the worst ones were just mediocre. Even the worst ones
are pretty okay. Yeah.
And that's why their Marvel Cinematic Universe works so well, because the good ones are really good and bad ones are at least okay. Like
And people complain about how uncompromising Marvel is and how they can be frustrating to work with and stuff like that. But like at the end of the day, it keeps their continuity
money stream going
like strong. Like they don't have conflicting stuff going on between 2 movies. It's like like that person told you that you can't make the character do this, but that's because the character's not supposed to do that. So
yeah.
I don't know.
And this is when I think some more stuff has come out about it since. Back, I haven't really been following this one super fast. Long story short, there were a bunch of people who were talking about Apple deleting movies from customers, and this had something to do with like region locking and like some studio stuff. I do not remember.
Huh, that's weird. I'm usually pretty up on tech news, but I haven't heard about this either.
Yeah.
And that's like one of those things like, how can you revoke a license or whatever and not give refunds?
Yeah. Like, seriously.
And it's stuff like that makes you not trust like online services like this.
Exactly.
Because you bought a permanent license.
But more specifically, you wouldn't trust that particular online service because places like Steam, they have said that if for whatever reason, which we know it's been 15 years, this will never happen. But if for whatever reason Steam servers just go down, every game that you have ever owned will be unlocked, DRM free. So like when a company is still active and doing stuff
free
like
of
this, why
Steam
would you...
DRM anyway.
Free of Steam DRM. Yeah. But when a company is still active and trying to sell you more stuff and doing something like this, like, really?
Yeah. It also makes people like generally a little bit pensive about non-physical media and buying that license.
Exactly.
Rather than owning the copy of the thing.
Yeah.
The next thing is veteran 007 writers. By veteran, they mean they worked on Casino Royale and Skyfall.
Oh, and one more thing about that last thing.
Yeah.
Even when Steam removes a game from their platform, like you can't buy Alan Wake anymore. If you had Alan Wake before, you still have Alan Wake. So it's not like they revoke
even as
it.
A precedent.
Yeah. So Apple needs to get their shit together.
Seriously.
Yeah, definitely.
So sorry to cut you off. What were you saying?
two writers from the last two good Bond movies are coming back to work with this new Bond movie, which is going to be directed by a new guy, who is not the other guy who did it, and there might be a new Bond. The Bond is being a little bit crazy right now, and they're trying to scramble to get another one made.
I have two questions about this headline. The first is more of a statement.
Yeah,
I like how the headline frames it, and this may be true. I don't follow James Bond at all, but the headline frames it. They have been rehired to salvage the new James Bond movie. So the headline frames it as though they saw the fucking movie and then they were like, okay, let's just scrap this whole thing and give it to different writers, which obviously isn't what happened.
Well, what happened is a little bit more dramatic, actually. They've been trying to make this movie, but everything's been imploding on them.
I see. Now, my second one is actually a question. Have there really been 25 James Bond movies?
Yeah, the last one was the 25th one, and
24th one.
Oh, really?
The new one's supposed to be the 25th one.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah. Yes, there have been 25.
Or there will be 25.
Yeah, there will be 25 when this one comes out and is taken over by a new director. Danny Boyle was really good, and then he fucking squandered all of the beauty by doing something bad in the previous one. He had a fucking hit with Skyfall, and he sort of fell through, and now we're getting a new director, which maybe good on it. I'll have to wait and see. This next one is something we can just basically glaze over. Patrick Stewart is going to play Bosley in a Charlie's Angel reboot. Again.
You know, now, I find this kind of ironic, actually.
Yeah.
It's a little weird that Patrick Stewart is playing the character of the man who invented hair restoration.
I'm gonna shoot you.
I have been saving that joke for 2 weeks.
All right, fair enough. All right, so
I had to get it out there, but yeah, I have never really been interested in Charlie's Angels. I don't care about this, but I know that Patrick Stewart is an amazing actor. In everything that he touches turns to gold. So like, I
wouldn't say that.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's really been interested in Charlie's Angels since like the 70s.
Yeah, exactly.
The next one. Tommy Wiseau has released the entire The Room movie onto YouTube. Thanks, Tommy. We're watching it there anyway, but we're glad that we have your permission now. It's in full HD, and you can tell when they switch to the film cameras and then when they switch to the digital cameras, because he didn't know which to buy, so instead of renting, he just bought one of each. That movie was is one hell of a story. Next.
So was this just so like, man, people keep watching my bad movie, maybe I should put it on YouTube and actually make some money off of it? Is that what's happening?
Possibly?
Is it like ad supported or what?
I don't know. It's certainly possible that was what it was, but he's been kind of like on the like with The Room for a while. And this definitely seems like something that Tommy Wiseau would just decide to do.
Did he ever make another movie?
He himself never directed another movie. He was in a bunch of movies, but he never himself made another movie.
Is he also a horrible actor in other movies, or is it just a problem?
Yeah.
I would expect so, but I feel like the real problem with The Room was directing.
Well, there were several problems with The Room.
Everything else.
and basically every one of those problems can be traced back to Tommy Wiseau, so...
To some extent, anyway.
Anyway, so... The next one is Kenya lifts its ban on lesbian films because making the new film about lesbians that got incredibly popular eligible for an Oscar. Which was probably a good move. Kenya has had a ban on lesbian films, but this film, when it aired at Cannes, was like, oops, oh no, this Kenyan lesbian film fell on the ground. This is illegal in Kenya, but not in France. Oh no, it got into the projector somehow.
Oops.
Oops.
How did that happen?
Yeah, and so Kenya has lifted its ban on lesbian film, which is good. Good for them.
It's called
Good work,
Rafiki, which means
yeah,
friend.
Rafiki. Yeah.
Now,
hmm?
I'm apprehensive to say this because it's a little quote unquote political, but
Okay.
I just don't understand how anybody even gives a shit. Like why ban gay things? Like, what's the
they
why
culturally
give a
in that
shit
country
anymore?
they still think it's like illegal and wrong.
Yeah, like
and
a
stuff.
they think it's like a horrible degenerate stuff.
Like,
yeah. It's just
it's
one of those things. Like
it's just a
Yeah.
different. It's just a different country.
it's just culturally they see it differently. So.
It's unfathomable to me in 2018 that anybody anywhere bans gay stuff. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's who cares.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. Only recently here have we had legal gay marriage. So
it's true.
Up until recently, we could have said that, you know, the United States doesn't care about gay people or thinks it's degenerate still. So I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah,
it is what it is.
I guess it's I don't know. Like, yeah.
Like, to you don't care, but people do.
I think it's just better to just live and let live. Anybody.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just weird to me, but different countries is different.
Yeah.
Different people are different, which is
different cultures a little
bad,
different.
But it's good. It's good that like this is legitimate progress, so it's good.
Yeah. The next thing. Terrence Malick's The Tree of Life gets released on Criterion with a special director's cut, which is more The Tree of Life, and this is kind of a surprising move with Terrence Malick because of how much like energy and work he puts into like specifically the editing of his movies. Like, who was it? Someone was like cut out almost entirely of The Thin Red Line and was like they were in the script, they were like the main character, and then when the movie was edited together, they were like almost entirely removed from the movie. Terrence Malick's editing process is like how he makes his movies. He like shoots all of this stuff, records all of these lines, does all of this stuff, and then through the editing is where he really gets it. He's unlike a lot of pretty much any filmmaker right now, and the fact that he's making like a director's cut to a movie is a little bit crazy and will probably change the movie entirely. So yeah, that's neat. The next is Netflix is going to make is working with Blizzard on making a Diablo animated series.
Now, this
specifically Diablo 2.
Oh,
is it specifically Diablo 2?
It is
this
specifically
just the framing of the article because I don't see.
No, I thought it was specifically Diablo 2.
See, that's what I was going to say. I don't see anywhere that the article says that it's about Diablo 2, which would get me really excited. I expect it to be about Diablo 3 because that's what Blizzard wants. But in the article, they use nothing but screenshots and stuff from Diablo 2, and they talk about a bunch of Diablo 2 stuff, but
I don't know that they necessarily focus on Diablo 3 any more than they did Diablo 2. The only reason Blizzard pays attention to Diablo 3 is because it's the most recent one.
Right. That's
like,
what I'm saying.
I don't think that they would necessarily make a series of Diablo 3. In fact, it wouldn't make sense to make a series about Diablo 3 without doing Diablo 2 first, because a lot of what they do in Diablo 3 is stuff left over after Diablo 2.
That's true.
So that literally makes no sense to do a Diablo 3 series, because by the point in time that Diablo 3 starts, like, 5 of the 7 things are dead. So, like...
dead, quote unquote.
Well, mostly dead. As dead as immortal beings can be.
Yeah, fair enough.
Excuse me.
So, I don't know, like...
Up to and including Diablo.
Yeah.
So, you know, Diablo 2 / maybe 3 ? Series. But I think that's fine. Like, unless it's just bad, even if it's different, I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've given a little bit of shit to the Castlevania series. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's okay. But if we got like a series in that vein, I'd be happy with that.
Dude, the animation in that Castlevania is so
yeah,
fucking
exactly.
good, though.
The animation is incredible.
If
there's
the
nothing else you can say.
If the animation in Diablo 2 is half as good as it is in Castlevania, I'll be really happy.
Yeah, seriously. And I'm
and also like the tone of the Castlevania series I think would be perfect for a Diablo series.
Yeah,
so for sure.
So, you know, I'm pretty excited for that. And Netflix has lots of money to give. I just hope that whoever's in charge of it treats it well instead of like letting it be shitty.
Yeah.
But Blizzard cares about that, so
yeah.
People behind it
then there's Warcraft.
Nah, I mean, yeah, that was
the people behind it apparently is Boom Studios, which are listed as behind a bunch of comic book adaptations such as Escape from New York, Warhammer 40K, Planet of the Apes. But it doesn't they don't list any animation credentials here, so it might be a little weird.
I don't know.
Why would you hire like that's an interesting question. Why would you hire a comic book company to do an animated series?
Maybe they're the ones who approached with the deal.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Because the way that it works, like, you know, anybody can they might offer the rights and then someone like them bought it because they want to transition into animation, but
yeah.
So
and like
if
Netflix
that's the case, well, yeah, but then Netflix makes a lot of sense because they have resources that they wouldn't normally have. So like, they could be like, "Hey, can you put me in touch with the guys who make Castlevania?"
Yeah.
So who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And things get onto Netflix in various different ways. Like BoJack Horseman is kind of like a big Netflix show, but really it's made by Torrente Pictures, so it's not even like Netflix that did it, really.
Yeah.
Be careful! Don't bring up BoJack Horseman. We're on a time schedule.
Oh, I don't think that's.
Yeah, we got our BoJack out last time.
We did. That's what we said when we started this podcast.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, that's about it.
But yeah, no, I am excited for it. I'll definitely give it a watch. Like regardless of I'm not gonna like try and hear anything about it. Like, oh, it's bad. Even if I do happen to hear that, I mean, it's worth a watch. I think Diablo's a series that has stuck with many people for many years because it's incredible. So
yeah,
you know, and I feel like I've been more and more influenced by like Rotten Tomatoes over time.
Right.
Like, I think those people who are complaining about Rotten Tomatoes, like, they kind of have a point a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially since a lot of things, it's like, I'll actually see a movie that has a poor score and goes, that was not that bad. So, I don't know.
But yeah, I do think that it does inform people's opinions a little bit, but it's one of those things, like, you shouldn't sue it because it informs people's opinions. It informs people's opinions. Welcome to the future, bitch. Make good movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, the trick is to just make better movies.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I think that it's possible for critics to have a really negative opinion going into it and looking to tear it down, depending on what it is. Just like there's those people on Rotten Tomatoes who will be the one person to give it a good score if it's, like, horrible. So, you know, I think that Rotten Tomatoes is also political, which is kind of a problem.
Yeah,
because that hurts consumers ultimately.
Yeah. Another thing that I want to say, it's like sometimes there are things like some people talk about the DC universe as being like, oh, you know, critics didn't like Kubrick and stuff at first. They really they'll see Zack Snyder's. I don't think that's about the DC. But every once in a while that does still happen. For instance, the previous movie directed by Panos Cosmatos, the guy who directed Mandy, Beyond the Black Rainbow, was kind of panned by critics when it came out.
Right.
And they just weren't ready for it then.
Yeah,
but
that's
now,
the thing. It's
like, and now the time has gone by, it's like, oh yeah, that was a really fucking good movie.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing: when things get easier to access, let's be honest, making a movie is easier to access than it has ever been now. Yeah. And in 2 years, it will be easier to access making a movie than it.
Do you mean access
today? Yes.
Okay.
Well,
you were saying like excess, and I was like, what are you talking about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it's more easily accessible to
Yeah.
make a movie. Like any asshole who has $50 can buy a okay looking camera and make a movie. So like
I would say yes and no. I think that on one hand, I get what you're saying, but to make a actual film like that goes on to theaters, you can't film
Right.
that with an iPhone. So
no, yeah, sure,
but it is easier to get distribution now.
right. Exactly.
I think that I think that's a bigger point.
that's a bigger thing. So, but so like probably like most of the people who's like Stanley Kubrick, for example, 50 years ago, a Hollywood studio put his faith into him, and they were like, yeah, this guy's gonna be good, and like that was it. So like even though it was panned by critics, it was like, okay, somebody believed in him, somebody thought it was gonna be good, and it turned out down the line, yeah, okay, this is actually really good. Whereas like now you can just get Zack Snyder and they're like, oh, he makes movies people are gonna buy. And I don't.
Well, I think here's the problem with that whole thought
Is
process.
getting muddled.
I think the problem with that thought process is more that the environment changed a lot.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's easier to get distribution if you're an indie film, but at the same time,
the big guys,
like movies are becoming so much more expensive to make at all.
Yeah.
That they want to take less risks. Like back then, they were more willing to take a hit on someone they didn't know than they are now.
Right.
It's
you
like
gotta pay like all of those CGI artists.
We've gotten to the point where you have to make 2 or 3 indie movies to break into making bigger movies. Yeah. So like before it was like you could like if you had a good enough idea and friends in the right places, you could come out of nowhere and make a film back then. Yeah. Now you have to have made a few indie movies probably to even be like considered.
But at the same time, if the climate keeps changing in that direction, then that might weed out people who are worse at making movies. Like if people won't even consider people who haven't made good indie movies, I mean, currently the current state.
I mean, you say that, but the problem is they go for safe movies. They don't go for good movies.
Yeah, the problem is like they take these guys who are indie guys who are just on the thing and trying to break into Hollywood. They give them their big break and they tell them what to do.
Yeah, the big break might be like, here's a reboot of Jumanji. Yeah, you know, and maybe it'll be good, maybe it'll be bad, but they have to do Jumanji whether they want to or not. So.
Right. Yeah. Yes, but like if what I'm saying is if the climate is going in that direction where people where like they're trying to be safe enough that they only take people who are already decently established, like people like their indie movies, then say 10 years from now, they're like, okay, in order to break into the Hollywood film industry, you have to have made a movie that a lot of people like. Then say 50 years from now, they'll be hiring only people that make good movies. Probably not going to happen, but if that's the trend,
I don't think that. I think that's.
Yeah.
On paper, on paper and in a perfect world that makes sense, but that just means they're taking less risks in general and still forcing them to do what they want. Like so I don't see like they don't take an indie person who's made some films and then go, here, have money to do whatever you want. They go, you've made a couple of good movies, or at least that have made some money. Have this horrible horror movie, Saw 29. So I don't know.
You get to direct it, and also bring us dailies, and we'll make comments on them and tell you what you need to change.
And it better make money, or we'll never hire you again.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Like, well, the best thing about this is like if they don't get that thing in Hollywood, they can always get back up on their feet because it's not only easier for like these guys to gain fan bases, but it's easier for them to just be like, "Hey, Amazon, you guys pay for my next movie?"
Mm-hmm.
So I said that was the end of the movie news. I lied. So for fucking years, multiple goddamn years, it's been in production hell. The Space Jam 2 movie that I think nobody cares about now has picked up a new director. Ryan fucking Coogler, the guy who directed Black Panther and Creed.
I actually heard
good.
I actually heard about Space Jam 2 coming back, which is just funny.
Yeah.
I hope that they don't ruin Lola Bunny like they did Quit It. Like they did
Space
in
Jam 1 when they created her.
No, I thought Lola Bunny was good in Space Jam 1. I don't like what they did with her in the Looney Tunes show that they made later.
Right.
My question is,
hit me.
Or my comment maybe.
Okay.
Nobody really advertises shoes anymore, so what are they going to advertise with Space Jam 2?
What are you talking about? There's this controversy going on right now about how Nike picked someone that people are upset about. People definitely advertise shoes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what's the new cool shoe to have?
Actually, if anything, shoes have never made more money than they do right now. So
that's kind of ridiculous because you kind of need shoes.
But
I don't know.
I mean, you need but you buy shoes from like Skechers or something. You don't go to wait in line for Nikes like crazy people do in New York.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
They're people they call shoe heads and stuff.
The shoe industry is really booming right now.
I mean, you joke, but they're in a situation. They're in a situation right now where they'll release a new shoe, and they can't even promise that they'll have enough. It's like constant Nintendo shortages in shoe world. I'm serious.
Yes.
Like they run out of shoes constantly. They have like lotteries for you being able to even reserve shoes and shit. It's crazy right now. It's like stupid.
Actually pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Really
so like
I hate shoes in general. They're just like little foot prisons, but
you need them to walk.
You do not need them to walk.
You need them to walk where I live.
Not if you walked where you lived for the last 5 years.
Okay. Well, here's the joke I'm going to make.
I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody does. You definitely need shoes.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to have LeBron James in it instead of Michael Jordan. But do you think Ryan Coogler's going to bring Michael B. Jordan into the movie?
Who?
He played Creed and the villain in Black Panther. He was in his last 3 movies.
Buy the new Michael B. Jordans. They're like the Michael Jordans, but they're not.
But with a B on them.
With a B on them.
Michael B. Jordan presents the new Nike shoe, Killmongers.
You know, LeBron James makes so much sense to replace Michael Jordan.
He really does.
He does, yeah. Like, he's basically the new Michael Jordan. Like, what?
Yeah. I don't know, like, the way that people talk about LeBron James is like how people used to talk about Michael Jordan, so...
Yeah.
It's like... so perfect, it's not even funny.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Like you would think there would be like less of one person that everybody associates with basketball. It kind of is that way. So
I find it so strange that they're making another Space Jam so long after the original Space Jam, because like you guys have given me shit for this for 10 years, by however long we've known each other, but like despite that, I kind of troll a little bit with the opinion and boost it up a little bit. Space Jam was 100% undeniably made specifically for the reason for getting around advertising laws. Because they wanted to advertise the new Michael
I don't think
Jordan
that matters. I don't think that matters because it was a good movie. I don't care. I'm not a person who cares.
Right, but if it was such a good movie, they could have made a second one so much.
But here's the thing, I don't think they could have.
35 years.
Here's the thing, I don't think they could have. I think the reason why it makes sense to make a Space Jam 2 now is because there is a new Michael Jordan. LeBron James makes so much sense to be the basketball character now, because back then it wouldn't have made sense to make another like basketball fight thing with Michael Jordan again. Now it makes sense because they have someone new to kind of be that person. So they can structure the movie around the person like they did with Michael Jordan back then.
But I remember 10 years ago, when I was in high school, everybody was talking about how hot and hip their new LeBrons were. Why didn't they make it 10 years ago? LeBron Jordan was or LeBron James was like popular and also a shoe commercial 10 years ago.
I don't think LeBron James has been as...
People
People don't talk about LeBron's James shoes the same way they talk about Jordan's still. So I wouldn't say that he has as much... that
is like one experience I have taken to heart from high school. LeBron's, quote unquote, LeBrons were really popular.
I've
10
never
years
heard
ago.
of that.
I've never heard of that. You've never heard of though.
I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if there even are shoes named LeBron's or whatever.
They are. They're called LeBrons. There's a whole fucking Nike store devoted to LeBrons. There's like 40 shoes called LeBrons.
I mean, I don't know, but I don't think that people call them LeBron's though.
The same way people call,
people call shoes Jordans. I don't think I've heard that replaced with anyone else's name.
Maybe it was just where I grew up.
That might have been just your
because like LeBrons are like $100+ shoes, and everybody.
Oh
was
sure,
like,
but if you go on Nike store, like half of their shoes are like that.
Yeah,
they probably have like Magic Johnson shoes and stuff that are just expensive. But I'd be really surprised if people walked around saying these are my Magics. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, but I'm serious. Like, you guys may not believe me, but I'm serious. LeBrons are a legitimate brand of shoes.
Well, sure.
Yeah,
sure, but I don't think that it matters when it's happening. And I think actually, in a way, like at the point that they did Space Jam, Michael Jordan was already past the peak of his popularity.
Right.
And I think that's similar with how we are with LeBron James. He's still like the name, but he's not... I don't know. He's not as popular as he was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense to do it now. Whether or not you should is a different question. But I think now is if you're going to do it, it makes sense to do it now. So
right.
And yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't. Who knows?
Yeah.
Are all the voice actors for the Looney Tunes still alive and stuff?
No, Mel Blanc has been dead for years.
Yeah, I mean, like, Bugs has been a different voice actor for a long time, but but I don't know about any of the other ones because nobody cares about anybody but Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck.
Well, remember, Mel Blanc did all of the voices back in the day.
Really? Huh.
I kind of understand what Dalson's saying. Like most of those don't matter as much though, as much as like Bugs, Daffy, and then maybe like
Yosemite Sam or Elmer Fudd.
Maybe Elmer Fudd. Not even Yosemite Sam, but it's Space Jam. They might not even be in it. So
yeah, and but yeah, with Ryan Coogler at the helm, who knows? Might be good.
Yeah.
Right. Look, okay, I give a lot of shit to Space Jam, but I do enjoy watching it. I don't know if I liked the movie itself, but it's enjoyable to watch.
What are you talking about? It is a great movie.
What I would not pay to see Elmer Fudd play basketball with LeBron James.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It was a good movie. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, that's it for movie news for real this time.
Okay. Why don't we move into games?
We should kind of like scoot through this a little bit.
Yeah, cull the game news a little bit.
So yeah, I don't know. There's a cool Fallout mod.
Oh. There's one of these news stories that's basically in here twice. Yeah, so the people working on Fallout New Vegas, or Fallout 4 New Vegas, which is just completely recreating the New Vegas game in Fallout 4 from scratch, mind you, since they are not, as mod creators, allowed to sample New Vegas, they released a video a couple weeks ago about their character creator in the engine, and I just had a couple comments on it. It seems like the character creator's great. I love how they basically remodeled everything, right? Like they use the Pip-Boy window that comes up when you make a console command.
What's the mod called?
It's called Fallout 4 New Vegas.
Okay.
They use the little Pip-Boy that comes up to recreate your character, which makes sense because in the beginning of New Vegas, Doc Brown, it's basically the beginning where you're creating your character. They use the little Pip-Boy to show you what your character's like. They still use Fallout 4's character creation, obviously, because it's in the same engine. It wouldn't work to use New Vegas's.
Also, Fallout 4's character creation is better.
Yeah, Fallout 4 character creation. Like, say anything you will about Fallout 4, but it's probably one of the best character creators they've ever made.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And they from scratch remodel everything in Doc Brown's house. It looks phenomenal. It looks like just... It looks better than installing a 4K texture remap for New Vegas, which everybody already does.
Well, I don't know, because texture, I don't know, mods that make things look better are kind of a pain in the ass to get up and running. If they can just make it look like Fallout 4, then that seems better almost.
Right.
Because then if you really want to go the extra mile, you could just make Fallout 4 look better. So.
But here's the thing, Fallout 4 doesn't here's the impressive part is that Fallout 4 doesn't really have these models, right? Like, it doesn't have this old wooden shack in the middle of the desert that's supposed to look dusty and gloomy. It has wood shacks in the middle of an irradiated wasteland, but it doesn't have the New Vegas feel to it, which is fine. I'm not criticizing Fallout 4 for not being like New Vegas. That's okay. I believe Bethesda can do what they want with the Fallout series, and I'm a great proprietor of Bethesda's Fallouts, but
you sell Fallout games?
Great. Yes. I
anyway,
sell Fallout games.
I am
it's
Todd
cool.
Howard. They
it's
made a bunch. It's cool. They made a bunch of models.
Yeah.
Let's just get through this because I don't really think it matters.
Basically, what I'm getting at is it looks like, just from this small trailer of character creation and the opening scene, is that they've really done a good job to give you the classic New Vegas feel. I'm really excited for the mod. The one thing that I have a problem with is that because they couldn't sample the voice lines, they had to get voice actors for everybody, which is impressive in that it's a lot of work, but some of the voice actors that they've hired are not, if they wanted to get a voice actor for Doc Brown, they should have just gotten somebody who sounded like Doc Brown looks, instead of gotten somebody who thought they would be able to do a voice that sounded like Doc Brown. That's not the way you want to do it. You don't want to have imitators for these characters. You want to have people who just have appropriate voices to begin with.
I don't know. I think people might argue with you on that point. That is a personal preference either way, because there are definitely people and this happens in Hollywood all the time. People hire people who sound like other people so that they can sound like that person.
Yeah. Right.
They do that for animation. They do it for everything. But the problem is voice actors that are not official voice actors are always not as good. That's
right,
exactly. But that's going to happen regardless. So
right. So I understand where they're coming from. They wanted to get somebody who was a decent impression of Doc Brown, but I feel like a person who was just a good voice actor in the first place would have been a better choice than a person who could do an okay impression of Doc Brown.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. That's just not going to happen anyway. They might as well try to do an impression, because it's not like they're going to find anyone who's just a better voice actor anyway. It doesn't. It's like a no-win scenario. They might as well just try to do an impression.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I'm just imagining they get someone who does a completely different voice, and we have a Doc Brown coming in. Oh, it looks like you got a bit of a bump on the head there. I had to put your face back together.
I don't know. It's maybe you can. Maybe there will be a mod for this mod that is not a legal mod that just replaces all of the sound files. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? Exactly. Yeah. So, what do we have up next?
Nintendo Direct highlights.
Right. I think we went through most of that last year, or last week.
We went through this. We thankfully.
I don't think we did. We talked.
Mission.
We said
Isabel and Smash.
Yeah, we said
yeah.
Isabel and Smash, and also actually that's not what I meant to do. I meant to do a Nintendo online service thing.
Right. Okay. Isabel and Smash is really the only important point from the Nintendo Direct. So,
excuse me, new Luigi's Mansion, new Animal Crossing.
Yeah, new Animal. I think we said new Animal Crossing. New Luigi's Mansion is cool. Katamari Damacy reroll we talked about. So there's not a whole lot. Crystal Chronicles remaster if you like that game. I did. But Nintendo Switch Online has launched. There are a lot of complaints about it, most of which I do not agree with, except the glaring one, which is you are now paying for a service that you had for free for the last year. But on the other hand of that, you already knew this was coming. The moment the Switch launched, they said that in a year or so, we will be requiring paid online services.
But
so,
I think
it's not like it's a surprise.
But I think they're just
sure,
giving.
But that doesn't mean it's good.
No, I think that there are lots of. Well, why don't you go through the complaints that you don't agree with? Because I kind of don't. I'm not with you, man. I think a lot of the complaints are valid. Because I don't think
have no idea. I haven't even heard of them.
I think the Nintendo online service doesn't really give you a good value proposition, especially compared to other services that are similar.
So one of the big ones is that you are now paying for a cloud service or a cloud saving service. Now, the complaint with that is that it only works on select games. Beforehand, there was no cloud saving service. And at what point are you going to play on a different Nintendo Switch, save to the cloud, go back to your Nintendo Switch, save that to the cloud, and go and play on a different Nintendo Switch? It makes sense.
Here's
on
the thing.
Like something like Steam.
No. Like, this is dumb because Nintendo, of all of these systems we're talking about, Steam, PS4, any of them,
has huge control.
Is the most likely that you're going to lose it. Of all of them, you are most likely to accidentally leave your Switch on the bus and never see it again. So, it makes the most sense to have cloud save features on this product, more so than any of the other ones. And even then, on PS4, it works for 100% of their games.
Yeah.
It's just... The thing is, they didn't have cloud save before, but they should have.
Yeah.
So, they should have already had cloud saves. And if they want to tie it to an online service, then fine. But it should at least work for everything. Why doesn't it work with everything? That seems stupid.
Well, it's probably that they can't tie it to all of, I'm pretty sure that many of the first-party games have cloud saving services, but they would have to work with, very particularly with the developers to have their online service cloud save to the...
No, they wouldn't. They would just need to say, if you want to have cloud saves, you have to do it like this. You have to have your save files in a folder like this. So, maybe not all 100% of games would work immediately, but they could update themselves to make it fit the way the service works.
Yeah.
But instead they just don't.
With how, especially with how much control Nintendo has over their stuff, it's surprising to me that they don't have cloud save for everything.
But Nintendo is giving up a lot of, not a lot of control, but they're giving up more and more control as time goes on. At what point would you have expected a Doom game to come out on the Wii?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, though, because PlayStation 4, every game has cloud save.
Yeah, they're specifically consoles that have the thing that they don't have for some reason. Yeah,
if it were saying that it's because Nintendo's giving away more control, maybe I would agree with that if that wasn't already a done deal on other services. Yeah, and it's Steam doesn't have it for 100% of games, but not 100% of games you can even save on in Steam. Yeah. So
now. Okay, the biggest complaint is that you are paying for a service that you were not paying for before.
Other one? Because again, I have nothing about this.
I think that one is of all of the complaints, I think this is the most illegitimate one. It's if there has to be a start date, so fine. I don't even think that's worth talking about, because the only people who are complaining about that are the people who are whining about it. So
right.
Yeah.
And like they gave a start date, and it is so ridiculously cheap. Like I would much rather, like I haven't touched my Switch in a while. I'm probably not, like, until I get the inkling to play. That wasn't a pun. Until I get the inkling to play Splatoon online again, I'm probably not going to pay for this service. But it is $10 a year, or close to that. So maybe 15. It is like a yearly fee. If you don't make that much in a year, like,
that
even
doesn't
if you don't
matter.
have a job,
Look,
like,
if it's a bad value proposition, it doesn't matter how cheap it is. The problem with this service is they're taking something away from people and not giving them anything back.
But part of the value, like value doesn't just mean what they're giving you. Value also means how much you have to pay for it, which is like jack shit.
Yeah, you have to pay nothing right now.
It's value to cost proposition.
Yeah.
Right.
So if it doesn't matter what the cost is, if there's not enough value to make up for the cost, then it's a bad deal. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I'm not seeing the value here.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you can play like Switch games online now, right? Without paying for it.
Well, you can't now because it's gone live.
Oh yeah,
So
I mean before,
but
previously. So what the fuck? And yeah, it's like, this is something they said, and it's not surprising, but it's still bad.
Well, one of the things that they do to add value. Yeah, now this is something it really gets into whether you value this personally. There are a lot of NES games that you get to play for free if you pay for this service.
There are 20, and half of them are sports games.
Yeah.
I mean, Super Mario Brothers and Ice Climbers and Ghosts and Goblins, some of the most popular games of all time.
Yeah, but like, I'm looking at all of these
10 years ago, like fucking PC Master Race, like, oh yeah, you can play games online for free on PC. When I saw that 10 years ago, I was surprised.
I think part of the thing is, like, if you're talking about legal ways to do this, like not using ROMs and emulators, right?
Yeah.
Legal ways to do this. Like, all of these games, there's like 3 games here that I would even play. And I already have all of them on the Nintendo 3DS behind me.
Yeah.
Right.
So they give you 20 games, 20 NES games only. I think that's the bigger deal for me. If they had some Super Nintendo games
library,
if they gave you
the whole Super Nintendo,
other than the ones that are tied up in whatever licensing shit, like, but like, I don't even like NES games. The NES was a shitty console in retrospect. Like, back then it was cool, but now it's like, a lot of those games I don't even want to play again. I would rather play Super Nintendo games. So
right.
They, like, if this is what we're kind of getting instead of virtual consoles still.
Okay,
yeah.
So, right. This, I don't know, like, yeah, I could play The Legend of Zelda again, but like, the cost benefit that I get for paying for the service for 20 NES games I probably won't play. It just, I don't know.
Okay, so like, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I'm going with. Like, yes, you were not paying for an online service. You knew you were going to have to, but you weren't, and now you are. They also add additional things. And this is the very first week of the release of the Nintendo Online service, and you are paying a very, very significant less, like 80 cents a month compared to $10 a month for Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus.
Oh, it's $4 a month if you go monthly.
Okay, well, sure, but if you go yearly, it's like, what, $15 a year?
No, it's 20 a year, but I mean, that's still not very much, but
yeah. So you're paying like $2 a month basically, and this is the first week. They already have stuff that you can play that is from their older systems. Like, I don't see I see the difference in what you are getting, but I don't really see the difference in value. $2 a month for these couple of games that they've already released within the first week, as compared to PlayStation Plus, which I don't think PlayStation Plus is a bad value. I'm much more against something like Xbox Live, which I feel like doesn't add as much value as PlayStation Plus. But like PlayStation Plus, they give you new games every month. So how do we know that Nintendo isn't going to do that? Okay.
Xbox has a Games for Gold program that if you're subscribed to Xbox, they basically copied it, PlayStation Plus. But
okay, well, I didn't know about that. I follow PlayStation a little more, but yeah, say Nintendo does the same thing. They release 10 new NES games every month that you can play, or Super Nintendo games, or even start going for N64 games. Like, you are paying significantly less, and currently you are getting significantly less than Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus, but it's the same as other consoles. That's what I think it really is. It's the same as other consoles, but it's cheaper. They haven't added as much value to it yet, but it just started, as opposed to the other consoles, which have had years and years and years of going. It's like,
I don't know. Like, okay, this is where I play. It doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter where it starts, because it matters what the value is when it comes out. Like, and right now,
you can make as many fucking promises as you want, but there's nothing there.
Like,
well, they haven't made any promises.
And that's the other thing. They haven't. They offered 20 NES games once it's live or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this the only games we're ever gonna get, or are we gonna get more? They haven't said. Like,
right.
Are they going? Is there a plan to add games over time? We don't know. Like, all that we really get, and all that we can really count on right now, is a, I don't know, half-functioning cloud save and online play, which we had before this.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, I kind of understand what you're saying in that, compared to other ones, they already have some of this stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's cheaper, but I just don't... It doesn't feel like they're giving enough back for what they're taking.
Okay, so I don't like the concept of paying for my internet and then paying for like an extra fee to play on the internet on my console. I don't like that concept.
That's my biggest hang up with it.
I don't like that concept from the beginning. But what is it that makes it so horribly wrong when Nintendo does it 10 years after every single other gaming console available on the market started doing it for much cheaper?
They didn't used to do it before.
Right? Well, the other consoles
previous
didn't.
Ones you could play online without.
Okay, well, the other consoles, the Xbox Live started with it, but there were a couple of PlayStation 2 games.
No. What I mean is Nintendo consoles.
Right?
Well, PlayStation 2 and 3 actually, you didn't have a subscription service.
Yeah, and PlayStation 4 started it, and they didn't get.
But here's the thing: this is what sucks about it. It's that if you already own Splatoon, now you need the service for it.
Yeah, they
should have just like grandfathered in the online games that have come out. There's only like 2 of them.
Yeah. Right.
That would have made people feel better, and it's just like. I would be willing to pay more than what Nintendo Online serves if they gave you more value. The thing is that they're like, I don't know. Unless I end up actually wanting to play a game like Smash or something, which I might not even do. But if I wanted to play Smash Online, then I might subscribe to this. But other than that, like, there's so little value here that I'm not sure if I'm even interested in subscribing to this service. Whereas something like PlayStation Plus gives you enough other stuff that even though it costs more, I'd be more willing to subscribe to PlayStation Plus. So it's not really about the online play. Like, them gating off online play, that is a decision that is kind of up to you on how you feel about that. But if you're going to have a service like this, it should give you more value than that. And I don't think what they are giving or promising has much value at all. And that's my issue.
Okay. That's like I understand that. My biggest problem with people complaining about it is that other consoles have been doing this for such a long time, and people complained about it a little bit when it started with Xbox Live, and then nobody said another damn word about it for the last 15 years, except me.
The reason I ain't been saying about it
people
is because
complain
the concept fucking baffles me.
People complain. Well, there is infrastructure on the back end of the consoles that may justify some of this cost. The PlayStation 3 didn't have paid service, but it was crappy. The PlayStation 4's service is a lot better since it's been paid for, but people complained about PlayStation Plus when it came out too.
That is the perfect point. That is something that is the one complaint against Nintendo's online service that I wholeheartedly agree with. Nothing has changed about the online service. Most importantly, they did not add dedicated servers. You are now paying to use a peer-to-peer connection, basically hosted by your own Nintendo console.
Yeah.
They do not need this for server costs. This is not something that is necessary. They are only doing it because the other consoles can get away with it.
And it's just
at all. Damn,
it just
that
feels like
horrible.
It just feels like they are charging money arbitrarily without giving you enough back, and that's what the issue is. It's not that, like, I don't know. There are a lot of places where it's like, I wish you could back up saves or do cloud saves, but that was an argument since the console came out, and instead now they're bringing it out with this service, and it's like, fine. But at least make it function half as well. Well, make it function as well as other systems if you're going to have this be a feature. Like the free NES games or whatever, like compared to the other free games that other services give you, that it is just really underwhelming. And it's so it's like every piece of the online service is just so much more inferior compared to everything else. That it doesn't matter if the price is less. It's so inferior that you're getting you're really not getting much to make up for the difference in cost, I guess. I don't know. So if Nintendo executed more of this stuff better, or had a more outlined plan of things, or even stuff like voice chat working better was a thing.
Working at all, you literally have to use your phone. You might as well just use Discord.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to talk to people on your team that aren't your friends, but you know, like, it's just the execution of all of these different pieces are bad or underwhelming at the very least. That, like, when you combine it, it's like, okay, here's this basket of underwhelming stuff in exchange for a little bit of money. Which, if even, like, a couple of the things function flawlessly, if nothing else worked, if everything else was the same, but cloud saves worked on 100% of the games and it was not even a problem, then I would feel better about this in general, honestly.
Right,
but every piece of it is underwhelming, it just makes the whole thing feel underwhelming.
Right. So, but to answer Thel's question as to why I'm even defending it in the first place, first off, at the end of the day, I don't like it. I don't like having to pay for internet and then pay for a console. Like I've said that already. But the reason I'm defending it is because all of the other consoles have gotten away with this for 15 years. And 15 years ago, all of the other consoles were just as bad, if not worse. And people didn't complain about it as much. But people are complaining about it now because these consoles that have had 15 years to develop their service have offered newer and better and shinier things.
But I disagree with that.
The times have changed.
Again,
legitimately, they could have released all the stuff that these newer services have.
Well, why didn't
legitimately?
And again, I don't agree, because when the Xbox Live came out on the original Xbox, it had dedicated servers.
Yeah,
sure.
So if nothing else worked on the Xbox, the voice chat worked really well, and the online servers worked well. So, like, yeah, you had to pay for Xbox Live, but Xbox Live worked better than the PlayStation 2 online did at the time, and voice chat worked on 100% of titles that had like lobbies and stuff. So it's like everything worked. Yeah, you paid for it, but everything worked on the Xbox. Whereas this, it's like voice chat is shitty, on servers are shitty, and then if you compare newer things to the other consoles' newer things, all of that is shitty. Like PlayStation 4 is
like these like consoles have spent all of their time like doing this. It's that the times have changed and they have been allowed to be able to like grow with the times, and you know, Nintendo could have released a service that was just as good as these other things. There is nothing stopping them from doing that.
And like when the PlayStation 4 was the first PlayStation console with cloud saves, but when it came out, it just worked.
Right.
So like, I don't know. Like, if execution was better on Nintendo, I wouldn't even complain about it.
So, but like PlayStation Plus and Xbox Gold, right? When you subscribe to those, you get games, right?
Yeah.
They give you free games, sure. They give you you are not going to get Spider-Man when it comes out on PlayStation Plus, because that is a new game. They want you to pay money for it. The Nintendo Switch is a significantly newer console. They're not going to give you Splatoon for subscribing to Nintendo Switch Online.
That's such a
because it's just
silly.
come out.
That's such a silly argument because
but it's the same thing that they're doing.
No,
with
it's
other
not.
consoles.
It's not. The PlayStation Plus doesn't give you PS1 games. It gives you PS4 games.
Yeah.
Like,
and even
you don't get to choose, but it like a year later you might get a game that's a year old and not like 30.
Yeah,
right,
or that's the thing. Because it is like a year out,
they let you play Breath of the Wild.
Or like they released it with the ability you get Breath of the Wild free if you subscribe to it now.
But Breath of the Wild came out months ago, and
last year when the Switch came out.
It hasn't been a full year yet. But
it hasn't been a full year.
Yeah, it came out months ago. Whereas
it came out in November.
Whereas like with PlayStation Plus, Metal Gear Solid, I don't even know any of the games that you get with PlayStation Plus, but it takes a significantly long time for them to be moved to PlayStation Plus service, and then you lose them after the cycle rotates, or
no, you keep all of the games that you had that you. Okay, so the way that it works is while you're subscribed to PlayStation Plus, every month they add games to the service. You can choose to add them to your PlayStation Plus locker or whatever. And then while you're subscribed to them, to PlayStation Plus, you can play those games forever.
Right.
If you ever unsubscribe to PlayStation Plus, you lose access to all those games. If you resubscribe to PlayStation Plus, you get those games back.
Okay.
So, if they and they never rotate they never do the same game twice. So if you missed a game, you miss it forever. Right. So for instance, like I think 2 months ago, or maybe it was last month, Bloodborne was on the PS4 as the PlayStation Plus game, or as one of them. Yeah. If you subscribed to it during that month and clicked on or added that game to your PlayStation Plus thing, then you could play that game forever from that point forward, as long as you continue to subscribe.
Yeah.
Right.
So at this point, if you had been subscribed to PlayStation Plus from the beginning, you would have like an excess of like 300 games.
Yeah,
sure.
And why don't they just give you games from the Wii U that didn't sell very well? Like give you the Smash from the Wii U or something.
Oh well,
like
I mean that's kind of a different thing, because not everything is ported, and they do have to port it. It's not like you can give it for free. But yeah, like I don't know, they could have a porting rotation. But the thing is, like, I'm not even saying that the games that they need to give you have to be like on the same level, because it does cost less. Like I'm not even suggesting that. It's just I don't think that like the system, honestly, for me, like they could not even have the NES games and I'd be fine.
Yeah.
My thing is just that the actual features of the service need to function well, and I don't think they do.
Right.
I don't know. I don't care one way or the other about the NES games. Maybe some people care about that, but everybody who cared about that went and found an NES Classic. So like,
yeah.
So I don't know. It just seems ridiculous to me. I would rather them just have a virtual console where I could buy old games again.
Yeah.
Right.
So I still have my 3DS, so I can still play Zelda, a Link to the Past or whatever on my whatever.
3DS,
but
yeah.
if I wanted to play it on the TV, it would be nice if I could buy it again on the Switch. I would re-buy it on the Switch if they added it, but Nintendo just won't let me.
Right.
So
Yeah.
What I think the probably the best selling point for this would be if they started porting N64 games. That's what everybody wants, and it's what everybody has wanted since the Wii.
Yeah.
But they still haven't done it.
You know what would make this system infinitely more like? You know what would make probably everyone happy if they just added this?
What?
If they added virtual console games over time, like every month they release 2 or 3 virtual console games. And if you're a subscriber, you get like one of them free. Yeah. And just like PlayStation Plus, every time like you could just that month you would get one of the new virtual console, and then other people could just buy the games. So they would be getting paid for the work to port all these games over. The people who just want to buy the virtual console games would be happy, and then the subscriber people would be happy, and it would be like they would be getting double benefit for doing the same emulation they would do anyway. That would make everyone happy, and but I don't know.
I do have one good note about the service is that there are a lot of free to play games coming out on the Switch, things like Warframe, Fortnite. Those are the only 2 that I can think of, but I know that there are already some on there. You do not have to pay for Nintendo Switch Online to play games that are initially free to play. Play them online.
Yeah, I heard about that. So it makes me wonder a little bit if third-party games might not even need online. It might only be first-party games.
Yeah.
So it might only be like Smash and Splatoon. It might not even be like, I don't know, Doom multiplayer. I can't even think of
specifically. Yeah, what they said specifically was free-to-play games, but yeah, that is a good question.
Yeah.
So most of the free-to-play games are third-party, so
yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't even know if it is. But I mean, like, millions of people are going to subscribe to this anyway because they want to play Smash online. So like that,
Smash, yeah.
So it is what it is. But I don't know. I just feel like I understand where the complaints are coming from. I'm kind of with you in that, like, anyone really complaining about this is just whining ultimately.
Right.
But I am very sympathetic.
On PC.
But I'm very sympathetic to the idea.
Shit.
Well, Thel, you can't play Smash. You can't play Smash Ultimate on PC.
Oh yeah, because they won't port it to PC because it's on their consoles. So they're strangleholding you into it.
Well, it's not like Nintendo's the only company that does that.
Oh no, they're absolutely not. I'm not saying that. I have a problem with all of it.
Then again, those complaints are specifically not against specifically Nintendo. They're against the idea of it in general.
Oh yeah, that's my problem with it. Is the whole
thing.
I
mean, that's irrelevant. Ultimately, so I'm kind of sympathetic. I do agree that anyone who's really complaining about this is just whining, but I am sympathetic to it. Really, is not a very good cost benefit. So, like, if they at least had dedicated servers and that worked really well, and I didn't even know about that initially, but that makes it just seem worth so much less, because do you know how sucky it's going to be?
You're not paying to upkeep their servers. And
do you know how sucky it's going to be when we're playing Smash and someone's lagging like crazy because they have a bad connection and you have a great connection?
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to suck. But dedicated servers would fix a lot of that.
But at the same time, like, they should add dedicated servers, period, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, things that do have dedicated servers and charge a subscription fee, like World of Warcraft, like 50 people subscribing to World of Warcraft pays for their dedicated servers, and they have millions. So,
well, I think World of Warcraft is bullshit too, and that's why I've never bought it or subscribed to it ever. Unlike you two. So,
I subscribed to it back in the day when that was the thing that MMO did, but they don't do that anymore.
Like, yes, them not having dedicated servers and charging to play online feels kind of scummy, but really, anybody who has dedicated servers and is charging to play online, they don't need they don't need that much money to maintain their dedicated servers. If they tell you that the subscription fee is to
okay,
maintain
but that
their
doesn't
servers,
even
it's
matter. That doesn't even like yes, they should just have dedicated servers then. But like that, like it's like insult to injury for them to not give you dedicated servers and make you pay for it.
Right.
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree with that for sure.
So, like Nintendo needs to get their shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't always make the best business decisions, but all that
We
said,
spent way
I
longer
make
on
a
that
really
than
good
I meant to,
business.
so we're gonna quick fire some of the shit.
okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
There is a, speaking of the NES Classic, there's now a PlayStation Classic coming out.
Whoop-de-doo. It comes with 20 games, including...
Which games are they?
Who knows? there
No.
are 20 games. There are a handful of them confirmed.
Make
but
sure that you pre-order it and buy it day one so that you can know what games are going to be on
well,
it.
no, unlike the NES Classic, you're gonna actually be able to buy it. But
Yeah, probably.
but I don't like Final Fantasy 7, Jumping Flash, Ridge Racer 4, Tekken 3, and Wild Arms are confirmed for sure.
So basically, Final Fantasy 7 and
well, Tekken 3, I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ridge
okay,
Racer,
that's
like
fine.
those are all good games that were
Yeah.
listed. I don't know what Jumping Flash is, but you know, my problem with this is like they have the classic controllers with no analog sticks.
oh no!
Yeah.
So like,
Am I going to be able to play Gex? I have to know.
I think you could play Gex without analog sticks. Actually,
No,
but-
I mean, am I going to be able to play Gex on the classic console? Probably not, because it wasn't popular
Symphony of the
enough.
Night on it.
Maybe. I mean, who knows? Well, there's only 20 games, but maybe
Yeah.
Potentially, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't see like Spyro or Crash being on it because they just came out with those remastered collections.
Yeah,
and it
the
would make
problem with
less sense to put
Spyro
those
and
on.
Flash is or Spyro and Crash is the rights for those were bought by Activision.
Ah,
So that's why they're coming out as remasters at all, but also that means that they're not being re-released probably.
Yeah.
right.
I would rather it be remastered.
Yeah.
I would
would
rather
rather
this
every-
timeline than the potential worse one. So
Yeah.
you know. I have a feeling that it's mostly going to be RPGs
Right.
Yeah.
because based on them not having analog sticks, that kind of says a lot.
Yeah.
But we
Although
might get like
most PlayStation 2 games didn't use analog sticks.
no,
Or PlayStation 1 games.
Most did.
PlayStation 1 games didn't use analog
most
sticks.
did because after the second year, I think at the start of the second year they added the analog stick controllers, and they were such a good addition that like
yeah.
most games from that point forward used analog sticks.
Yeah.
Hmm.
At worst, it would just mirror the normal controls, but like that was still good. So I don't know.
Weird.
But you know, we might get lucky and get like a Resident Evil or something on
Yeah.
here. That would still be playable even without analog sticks. It would suck, but
Yeah.
you could do it.
I mean, it sucked to play it back then, honestly.
Yeah.
I played Devil May Cry 1.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like,
Even with analog sticks, that doesn't even help.
straight up, it was made in the Resident Evil engine. Can you imagine a Devil May Cry game with Resident Evil 1's controls?
Yes, because I've played it.
Yeah, me
I
too.
played it. It was awful.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was a product of its time. There's also Omniusha,
Yeah.
which was very similar as well. But actually, that was a little bit better because the environments were larger. My problem with Devil May Cry was the environments were really small too.
Yeah, exactly. And they always have been, but it's better when it's like an action game with 3D movement instead of tank controls.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Like that's kind of. It's $100. I think that most people who are going to buy it are going to buy it for the purpose of putting on a shelf, unless
Yeah.
of actually using it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I said that about the NES Classic, and people seem to actually use that. So who knows?
It's true.
Oh, yeah. This is a big one. I wish we had more time.
Yeah.
Telltale has had massive layoffs.
Telltale it's confirmed now.
The studio is closed.
Yeah, the studio's done.
Yeah,
Telltale
is
is
the whole thing.
dead.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Apparently they were bungling every fucking thing about it, including hiring people up to the day that the studio closed. Like that, could you imagine being hired a day before your company closes down? Like that would, like, I guess in the end it wouldn't really change anything for you because you would get hired and then immediately laid off and you're back to square one where you don't have a job. But that could really just ruin a lot of shit. Like,
yeah.
I think the issue is that they didn't know if they were probably looking for angel investors to keep them afloat, and they didn't know if they would have to. And then they had an arbitrary line. It's like, we can't do anything past this line, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what happened.
Yeah. And what happened is apparently they had this deal with Netflix for like Minecraft story mode or something. I have no idea what the deal entails.
No, you do know what the deal entails. They were making a Stranger Things Telltale game.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they were making a Stranger Things Telltale game,
and
then
something specifically for Minecraft too, though, wasn't
there?
there?
Yeah, there was like a Netflix thing with Minecraft. Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the deals, it might have been the Stranger Things one, just completely fell through.
It wasn't the Stranger Things one. Well, maybe the deal,
I heard
the
Stranger Things one might be picked up by someone else.
No, Netflix says that they're dedicated to their Stranger Things video game, even though Telltale Studios closed, so they are looking for more people, for other people.
But at least one of their deals like completely like crashed with Netflix. They might have like done some other stuff and put in money that just didn't work out, and then when it crashed, the entire studio crashed.
Maybe, yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, so this is just them making really like poor decisions, man.
Yeah.
Because they didn't, and people talk about their engine and whatever, and like that was a big part of it. But really, the issue was they took on like 20 different licensed projects all at once. So they were spreading themselves crazy thin. Like I don't understand. Like everybody else would work on 1, maybe 2 games at a time. I don't see how they even thought that they could get away with making like 10 different games using the same engine and then spreading even the writers so thin that the writers couldn't come up with compelling stories every time. It's like if the writing had been consistently good throughout, they might have gotten away with that. But like, they were so hit and miss, it wasn't even funny.
Yeah, they did.
They were like, when they hit pretty hard, but when they missed, they also missed really hard. Yeah, that's the thing I always talk about whenever Telltale comes up. It's like, I have a really weird relationship with Telltale, where it's like, I constantly hear, oh, Telltale is shit. I'm like, really? I mean, they don't exactly use the medium very well, but the games that I played were good. Yeah, which one did you play? The good ones.
Borderlands, you have The Wolf Among Us, you have
the first season of Walking
Dead, but like, then you also have shit like their Game of Thrones thing that they literally only created because Game of Thrones was popular and they wanted to sell the name. Like,
yeah.
And they had like a complete Monkey Island remake that I never played, even though
I didn't even know that.
And they had
a Guardians of the Galaxy thing.
What?
Yeah, that one. I heard that one was okay.
Yeah, and then Minecraft Story Mode, of course.
Yeah, but that one's yeah.
I mean, it made money.
Yeah, that one. But like again, all of these games sold based on their license and not on being a Telltale game, and that was the problem. The only game that sold based on being a Telltale game was like the first 3 games that came after Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, even like the Sam and Max games, which I actually really love the Sam and Max Telltale games. Still entirely sold on their license.
Right.
Yeah, but those games came before the Walking Dead.
Before Telltale like got big with the whole Walking Dead thing.
Yeah, I think the Walking Dead thing was really a turning point for that studio because their games were like okay before then, but like they weren't crazy good. But like to go from the Walking Dead, which was like a Game of the Year contender that year, to just like game after game after game of trash. It's just it's really disappointing.
Yeah, really.
And it's like I liked the ones that I played. I thought they were good, but that's because I avoided the bad ones.
Yeah, and even
Yeah.
it took them, and it took them all the way to, the Batman one to even get creative with how their narrative works.
Yeah.
Because before that one, they didn't ever really diverge in story very much.
Yeah.
And like that was fine when it was The Walking Dead, but to do that consistently for so many games in a row and for it to take you...
Yeah, people start to notice.
Yeah, especially when people made fun of The Walking Dead for that. Like, people who liked it were making jokes about, oh yeah, he's make these choices and it don't matter. And then they just keep doing that?
Yeah, and for it to take as long as it did for them to get to Batman and make actual choices that really diverge the plot considerably. Like, even games like Heavy Rain and stuff, which were criticized for the same things, even that did a better job than most Telltale games. So,
like, Mass Effect did a better job. Like Mass Effect 3.
Mass Effect 2 did, but maybe not Mass Effect 3.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Mass Effect 3, especially the endings.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know.
People are being nostalgic about Mass Effect 3 after Andromeda, but I'm still gonna fucking shit on Mass Effect 3 every chance I get. I love that series. God damn it, you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really sad, but like, they kind of did it to themselves.
Yeah.
Honestly.
All right. So they changed PlayStation Now a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not entirely
sure. Torbjorn too, but who cares?
Yeah, I skipped over that.
Yeah.
Because that's not that big a deal.
Yeah, it really isn't.
Yeah, like Overwatch is changing things.
Yeah.
You know, if you care about Overwatch, you'll probably hear that somewhere else anyway. Right. Or read the patch notes yourself. So, PlayStation Now is changing their system, how it works a little bit. Right. Before, it was a streaming service, where, like, it worked kind of like OnLive, where you didn't have to download the game. You would, like, stream the game to your system, but it would add, like, a little bit of latency, which was fine for some games, but bad for some other games. It's really depended on the game whether or not that was, like, fine. But now it's possible to download most PS4 and PS2 games available on it. So this is totally separate from all of the other PlayStation Plus stuff. But for $100 a year, you could basically play anything in this huge catalog of PS2 and PS4 games. They couldn't do PS3 games because they were really different with how they were designed. But now apparently you can download most of them and will support all DLCs and all that stuff. So I don't know, that's a thing. It's kind of like it's probably similar to the Xbox Live or the Xbox Game Pass thing. And I bet they made this change to compete with the Game Pass thing. Which means that this is probably a much more compelling thing to service compared to Game Pass again. But it looks like the industry seems to be going in that way.
Yeah.
Right.
So
well, that's good.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry, just real quick, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so there was a trailer that they showed off at Tokyo Game Show. Most people have uploaded this trailer as Dante gameplay reveal trailer, and the whole trailer is just Nero doing nothing. But essentially there's a couple of things that we find out about the story or gameplay features of Devil May Cry 5. The really big one is all about Dante, and he has a weapon that is both a motorcycle and two swords. He rips the fucking motorcycle in half and beats the shit out of people with it, and then he rides the motorcycle away. And that is just the coolest fucking thing, and it fits so well into Devil May Cry. I love it. The other thing that we found out from this trailer at Tokyo Game Show is that there is a third playable character. The third playable character will be some dude with an emo haircut.
Oh shit.
We don't know anything else about him.
Oh shit.
Oh shit, what?
They had another Death Stranding trailer at Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah. You're not gonna... Well, it's like it was like a couple seconds of like what might have been like a boss intro so far as we can tell. It shows off the man with the golden mask, which we don't know anything about.
Yeah, I actually forgot about Tokyo Game Show. So I'm like looking at a list of shit from it, and I don't know.
So basically the gameplay of Devil May Cry 5 looks really, it looks a lot like, you know, good old classic DMC, right? Devil May Cry, not DMC. It does not look like DMC. That's bad. However, if you are used to games like Metal Gear Rising or Bayonetta, keep in mind that Devil May Cry can be a little bit slower, especially before you unlock a lot of your moves and stuff. You're not just like dodging in circles while hit dodge hit dodge. It's more like, you know, you're gonna walk around something and shoot it for a couple of seconds. You're gonna like do these big swinging hits with your huge sword. You are not Bayonetta. You're Dante, which is different. But it's still like, it still looks like good classic Devil May Cry hack and slash action. Hack and slash isn't the right word. I forget what we call those games.
Spectacle fighter.
Spectacle fighter action. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
So cool little bit of gameplay. And
they added Yusuke and Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh to Jump Force.
Oh, I'm sorry, Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh. Yusuke, I was like holding my breath for, but Yugi? What the fuck does Yugi do?
He fucking summons Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl to fuck you up.
That's hilarious. I also heard that you would be able to create your own character in Jump
I know,
Force,
that's also fucking weird.
Which is weird, yeah.
But that sounds cool as hell. The more and more I hear about Jump Force, I like really, really want that game.
No, yeah, same. As soon as I saw like fucking,
I had a feeling Yusuke was coming eventually, but like,
no, yeah. I mean, like how could they make a Shonen Jump based video game, like a game that hails itself as a Shonen Jump based game, and not include Yu Yu Hakusho? Like,
it looks like maybe the villain from Yu Yu Hakusho, I forget his name, but the big muscly dude,
Kuwabara. No,
the bad guy.
Yeah,
he looks like he might be in it too, but I can't tell if it's like as a villain or not. Or that might be a completely different character. I'm not entirely sure, but man, I want that game. Oh, apparently they've confirmed Hunter x Hunter characters are going to be in it too.
Yeah, that makes sense. We got like, okay, so we know Bleach, we know One Piece, we know Naruto's in it, Yu-Gi-Oh,
Dragon
Yu Yu
Ball,
Hakusho, Dragon Ball. We could have probably characters like Toriko.
Death Note.
Toriko's really popular for some reason.
Death Note is gonna have it.
Death Note.
Yeah, oh yeah, we did see the Death Note characters, huh?
We could get some Full Metal Alchemist motherfuckers in there.
Oh, we could.
Yeah, that's true. And then even like Fairy Tail.
Also, Bleach is not confirmed, but it would.
But it might as well be.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Are you sure Bleach isn't confirmed? Because I swear to God that they showed like one of the Bleach hollow people.
I don't think so. I think we talked about Bleach as being like that would make sense, but I don't think they've showed anyone.
Right? Huh? Weird. Yeah. But
I wonder if they're gonna have more than just Yusuke. I wonder if they're gonna have Kuwabara or like Hiei or anything.
One Punch Man, give me Saitama. I didn't even know that was in Shonen Jump.
What? They add Saitama, and he's like a character that all he can do is punch. He literally cannot do anything else but punch, and it's just like it's just one really long charge up punch. But if you hit someone, they're dead. And like that's all he can do though. That'd be funny.
Yeah, I want Gintama. That's who I want in the game.
Oh, Crystal Chronicles is coming back to Nintendo Switch and PS4.
Yeah, I said that earlier with the Nintendo Direct thing. I was like, Crystal Chronicles, if you care about that.
Yeah.
Which I do. Oh, wait a second. My Hero Academia is a Shonen Jump manga, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's not classic enough, I think, maybe.
Yeah, they're only going with the...
Because that's currently running. So
it's not classic enough, but it is really fucking popular, and One Piece is also still running.
I mean, all of the Shonen Jump things were really popular when they came out.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's One Piece was still a classic when it first came out, when it
True.
started.
That's true. Yeah,
So,
I don't know.
Man, I want that game. Anyway.
That's about it, I think.
It seems pretty cool.
Also,
I
they
think
make
that,
it. Also, you mentioned the character creator in that Jump Force game. What would that even be?
Create
also,
Anime Man.
Also, we talked about that during E3, and they freaking claimed the video from that part, so I had to like cover it with a placeholder image.
Yeah, that's dumb. Fucking
I'm
ready to make myself
Naruto there.
I'm ready to make myself a Super Saiyan with the Saiyan fruit. Like
while wearing a Naruto headband.
While wearing a Naruto
Oh my
headband.
god, can you imagine just some of the most awful crossover stuff characters you could
Jesus
oh man.
Christ, oh
my god, what if it creates this industry where people make random ass characters on that and then take them as OCs and then have other people draw them just like they did for Sonic Forces for a little while.
Please, for the love of God, let that happen. Please bring your custom characters online.
I really want that to happen. That'd be so fucking funny. I don't know if I want it to be online, but
I want to fight SSJ5 Luffy, okay?
If I was able to fucking fight the Nothing Personnel kid, I want to be able to fight everyone's anime OCs.
Was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure a Jump anime?
It did not run in Shonen Jump.
I could have swore that it did. I could have swore it was like one of the first Jump animes.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
It was, yeah, you're right. It was originally serialized in Shonen Jump.
Like, yeah,
it's
like
its own manga now.
Was.
No, 1987 to 2004. So, like, most of it.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right, never mind.
Yeah.
There's a lot of speculation that one or two characters might make it, but I don't think there's been anything confirmed.
But
if we're saying My Hero Academia has its own fighter, like, I don't know though. That doesn't make sense because
Dragon Ball
Naruto has its own fighter. Dragon Ball Z has its own fighter. JoJo, like, has a lot of people know about JoJo specifically from the video games before the anime came out. So like, it's a weird question. Like how are they going to decide that? I hope that, but I think a lot of the anime that they are putting in there like finished their run or are still running in Shonen Jump, whereas JoJo is not.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, apparently, Light and Ryuk from Death Note aren't playable characters.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
The plot.
That makes sense. That makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
They make more sense as plot characters than like when I saw that I was kind of like, how are they gonna work? But you know.
I want to be getting my ass beat as Goku, and then just somebody bursts through a wall and says, "Have no fear, Goku."
It's me, XXX Anime Lover 27. I, the strongest, will win this fight.
Okay, well, I was talking about All Might, but all right.
All right, yeah, okay.
They would probably not use All Might. They would probably put
Deku.
I could see
and what's his face?
Bakugo.
I could see those two characters, and maybe that's it.
I could see some of the pro heroes too, like maybe
well, I don't see them doing any of the pro heroes because the show isn't about, or the show isn't about the pro heroes. It's about the next generation. So they would put and the Fire and Ice guy maybe.
Yeah. If they put any of Full Metal Alchemist characters in the Shonen Jump, you play as Ed and Al rather than Olivier, the best character in the show.
Right, but at the same time, like you know the types of anime characters that are popular. Like Shota would make a perfect fucking character for this type of fighter game because he's like the Batman of the anime. So
that actually makes him a horrible character because he's going to be fighting Goku. They need to have characters that are ridiculous.
Yeah, but he could disable Goku's quirk, which is nothing. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, so
yeah,
but I still think that it's going to be mainly main characters and notable villains.
Yeah, probably.
Because they have like Frieza confirmed, but like
yeah.
So I don't know. So that's that.
Yep.
Let's I think that's it for us this week.
That's it.
You said you were working on video. Do you have anything you want to announce, or what's going on?
I talked. Well,
or is that
Hat Kid video
2 weeks from now?
Hat Kid video coming out this week.
Okay.
Hat Kid video coming. After that, I already talked about it previously last week. After that, I'm going to be doing a video on Suspiria, and some Halloween stuff is going to be coming along on the channel. I'm going to be getting down and dirty and doing.
Right. Works for
That's
me.
about it.
What are you streaming this week? Any plans?
Well, I was gonna say more Path of Exile, but actually Let It Die is getting its PC release on the 26th, so I may even stream that morning. That is, like, I have been so excited for Let It Die since it came out on the PlayStation 4. Failing that, though, I will definitely be streaming Let It Die Friday morning for certain. That's my plan for the week, at least. So, yeah. And, of course, more Divinity. Last week's Divinity stream was a shit show, but...
Yeah.
Someone said in chat that 3 characters have been confirmed from Bleach in Shonen Jump, so
okay.
Or Jump Force. So yeah, that's it for us this week.
But we did make progress in Divinity, which might make us more willing to play it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Beat the bad guys.
Anyway, so that's it for us this week. See you guys next time, and remember, as always,
stay beautiful.